Alright, hello everyone and welcome to the comprehensive Kano beginner's guide by me, a good Kano player. Before we begin, why should you listen to me? I have a couple thousand games on Kano, I am something of an expert. Since around Pro Tour 1 I've registered non-Kano in probably less than 10 CC events, maybe a bit more. I have 3 ProQuest top 8s, I got 12th at my nationals in 2023 on Kano. I got day 2 at Pro Tour Amsterdam on Kano. I top 16 calling London last week with Kano. I sadly don't have any Living Legend points with him though, but hopefully they'll change this progress season. So, first of all, what does Kano do? He's an instant speed combo wizard, which means he does his combo on your opponent's turn, and he does that by dealing a lot of arcane damage. So what is arcane damage? Arcane damage is a special type of damage that is different from physical damage that normal attacks do, because normally when your opponent plays an attack, you can block that with cards from your hand or defense reactions from your arsenal. But arcane damage cannot be blocked by normal means. It can only be prevented. Now, how do you prevent arcane damage? You do that with stuff like Arcane Barrier or Spell Void, which is usually on equipment, and say Spell Void says you can destroy this equipment and prevent this much arcane damage from any one source. And Arcane Barrier says from every source you can pitch, for example, 3 resources and prevent 3 of that arcane damage. So you can basically block arcane damage by pitching instead of by blocking, which makes it a lot harder to block for most decks. And then there are also one-off cards like Oasis Respite or Seeds of Tomorrow that say prevent X damage, and it doesn't specify you can only prevent physical damage, for example. So you can just use it to prevent arcane damage as well. Kano has 2 main game plan styles. We call them Tempo and OTK or ICBM. OTK tries to set up a 40 plus damage kill combo, so basically kill your opponent in one go by turn 3 or 4. And Tempo aims to chip your opponent down into kill range and finishes them off with a 20 to 30 damage combo. So it's a bit less explosive than OTK, but in certain metas it can be more consistent. So, hero ability. You can pay 3 resources on instant speed. That's also not once per turn. That is important to remember. To look at the top card of your deck. If that is a wizard, if that is a non-attack action card, you can banish it. And if you banish it, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant. Now, in my opinion, this is bar none the most powerful hero ability on any hero in the game. Even including Living Legend heroes like Bravo Star of the Show or Chain. Which is why, Kano starts with a 10 life deficit at the start of each game. Because of his hero ability, the deck mainly plays non-attack actions. We have some instants and we have a couple gems, but I'll get to those later. Just so you know, a card has to be incredibly powerful to be played in Kano if it's not a non-attack action. Like, it has to do something very unique and very powerful for the deck to be played if it's not a non-attack action, because on your combo turn, if you pay 3 and look at the top card and it's not a non-attack, your turn ends, right? You can't do your combo because you cannot go through that non-attack action card, or that not non-attack action card, if you can't banish it or you can't draw it with some other effect. Right. Why do we play Kano? So, first of all, the most important part, blowing people up for 60 is kind of fun. It's very fun to, your opponent does their, you go first, you just, Arsenal turn 0, your opponent goes, they do their entire turn, and then you say, okay, before you end your turn, and then you see the light fade from their eyes as they die a horrific and flaming death. It's kind of fun. Second, quick games. Kano games are usually done between 20 and 30 minutes. The longest I was busy at calling London was 40 minutes, so still 15 minutes left over, which means frequent lunch breaks. If you're a heavy eater like myself, or you just enjoy your downtime between rounds to relax and gather your mental again, Kano's a great pick because, you just basically get a 20-minute lunch break after every single round, guaranteed. If you're tired of being fatigued, Kano's your guy. He's really good into fatigue. He does very well into them because you can set up basically just a god combo that opponents cannot really stop realistically. Also, Kano is very consistently underrated by the community. In my opinion, for calling London, he was the best pick, bar none, to bring to the tournament. And uh, in the past, there were also other tournaments where he was, in my opinion, the best pick. And really, not a lot of people seem to pick up on that. Alright, I'll go over some key pieces for Kano in the next couple slides. So first of all, we'll talk about his equipment and weapons. Then his combo pieces, so basically what allows him to do these crazy 40 damage combos. The setup pieces, these are uh, stuff that you keep on the board or that help elevate your combo to a new level. And the tempo pieces, these are mainly ran in the tempo builds. These are cards that either do a lot of damage or force your opponent to respect you in some way on your turn. And then we have the extenders. These are mainly ran in the OTK variants of Kano. And they basically are cards you can play for free off the top of your deck. So they basically refund you resources in some way or the other while also dealing damage. That way you can extend your combo turn to even greater heights. So first of all, his equipment. This is basically his standard equipment suite. Kano plays this into most heroes in the game. Talk about some sideboard options later. First of all, the two most important pieces of equipment are Ragamuffin's Hat and Storm Striders. These are what allow you to play your combo. Storm Strider says, instant speed, pay 1, destroy Storm Striders. You may play your next Wizard non-attack action card this turn as though it were an instant. What this allows you to do is allows you to play one of your combo pieces at instant speed on your opponent's turn, guaranteed, basically giving you an extra turn in which you can do your crazy 40 damage combo stuff. And then we'll talk about Ragamuffin's Hat, the other piece of the puzzle, so to say. Instant destroy Ragamuffin's Hat, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Activate this ability only if you have one card in hand. This card allows us to basically put the second combo piece on top of our deck, and then we can play it with our hero ability. Kano is usually looking to get a 2-card combo, which I'll talk about later. And Ragamuffin's Hat and Storm Striders basically guarantee you get to play both of your combo pieces on your opponent's turn. Now we have Spellfire Cloak, instant destroy Spellfire Cloak, gain a resource, activate this ability only during an opponent's turn. This basically gives you an extra resource on your opponent's turn that you can immediately use on turn 1 or 2. Whereas if you were to run Tunic, you would have to wait until turn 3 to combo at the earliest, basically, and that's not always ideal for us. So I run Spellfire Cloak in the main board. The Metacarpus node, this is a bit of a tricky one, so just bear with me. Whenever you play a card with an effect that deals arcane damage, you may pay 1 resource. If you do, that effect deals that much arcane damage plus 1, and at the beginning of the end phase, destroy Metacarpus node. So basically what you can do with Metacarpus node is for 1 turn, you can give every card you play plus 1 arcane damage if you pay a resource for that card. Usually on your combo turn, you'll only use this 1, 2, or 3 times. However, the effect is very powerful because Kano runs a lot of damage amplification cards, basically cards that say if this deals damage, the next card deals that much damage extra. And Metacarpus node can translate to 5, 10, 15 extra damage on a combo turn for just 3 resources, for example. However, you can only use it once because at the end of the turn you use it, it goes away. Now we'll talk about some sideboard options. We have Alluvian Constellus. This says the first time Alluvian Constellus prevents arcane damage each turn. If it has less than 4 energy counters on it, you may put an energy counter on it. Instant, remove 2 energy counters from Alluvian Constellus. The next staff ability you activate this turn costs 3 less. We run exclusively staff weapons in this deck. So this basically can reduce our staff by 3 resources whenever we play against a deck that deals arcane damage. Usually, Alluvian Constellus is only ran in the Kano mirror, but you can run it into something like Verdance as well, which also deals arcane damage. However, I personally wouldn't recommend it. In that matchup, I much prefer Tunic. Tunic At the start of your turn, if this has fewer than 3 energy counters, you may put an energy counter on it. Instant remove 3 energy counters from this, gain 1 resource. So basically, Tunic is just repeatable every 3 turns, get a resource, nice, steady, reliable. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows her. You love her. You know, Tunic, everyone's best friend, basically. Now we'll go over the weapons. Crucible of Aetherweave, this is the main weapon you will play in most of your matchups. It says once per turn instant, pay a resource. The next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage instead deals that much arcane damage +1. So basically gives our most important spell for the turn +1 arcane damage. As I said before with Metacarpus Note, we have a lot of cards that say if this deals damage, every single card you play this turn gets that much arcane damage extra. Crucible of Aetherweave basically just allows you to go over the top into the matchups where you need that, which is basically all of them. And then Waning Moon, I personally like to run Waning Moon into decks that I bring the tempo package into. I'll talk about that later when I get to the deck builds. It says pay 2 once per turn instant, pay 2, deal 2 arcane damage to target hero. If it's not your turn, instead deal 3 arcane damage to them. Activate this ability only if you played a non-attack action card this turn. So when we are playing against a deck we want to play a more tempo-oriented game plan, normally the OTK builds of Kano don't really care about tempo and they're happy to give up as much tempo as they need to get that big combo going. However, there are matchups where that doesn't really work and we want a more tempo-oriented game plan. Waning Moon helps us do that as it just basically gives us 1 more damage each turn than Crucible, and if we activate on our opponent's turn, 2 more damage than Crucible, which is pretty strong. So now we'll talk about our combo pieces. The most important ones are Aether Wildfire and Blazing Aether. This is the 2-card combo I was talking about when I was talking about Ragamuffin's Hat and Stormstriders. Sorry, Stormstriders. Aether Wildfire says cost 2, deal 4 arcane damage to target opposing hero. If Aether Wildfire is played during an opponent's turn, so for example with Stormstriders or Ragamuffin's Hat off the top, until end of turn, action card effects that deal arcane damage instead deal that much arcane damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Aether Wildfire. So, for example, let's say we play this for 2 resources, buff it by Crucible for 1, and then buff it by Metacarpus for another 1. So it comes in for a total of 6. If it then deals 6 arcane damage to our opponent, every single card we play that turn will deal plus 6 arcane damage. This gets really crazy, really fast. Blazing Aether is our other piece of the puzzle, so to say. This is a Kano specialization, and it says deal X arcane damage to target hero, where X is the amount of arcane damage you have dealt to that hero this turn. So, usually, what our combo turn will look like is we'll play Aether Wildfire, then we'll play 1, 2, 3, however many spells in the middle, and then we'll end on the Blazing Aether for 20, 30, 40 damage. And then Lesson in Lava. This is in recent days, in recent builds, a little less important than it was previously. However, it is still very important to mention, in my opinion. It's a cost 1, also a Kano specialization, just like Blazing Aether. It says deal 3 arcane damage to target opposing hero. If Lesson in Lava deals damage, you may search your deck for a wizard card with cost equal to or less than the damage dealt by Lesson in Lava. Reveal it, then shuffle your deck and put it on top of your deck. Lesson in Lava is a great card in our deck because on non-combo turns it can get us the Wildfire if we deal 2 or more damage, and on the combo turn, if we've already played a Wildfire that turn, we can get the Blazing Aether with Lesson in Lava. So basically, it acts as both pieces of the puzzle in different stages of the game. I will talk about the setup pieces. I put Kano in here as well. It's a bit less of a setup piece, however, I also wouldn't really call it a combo piece per se. Kindle is an instant, which is not a non-attack action because it's not an action card. However, it is one of those cards that has such a powerful effect on the game that we still include it in the deck as a 3-off, even though we cannot play it off the top from our hero build. So, it costs 0, it says amp 1, which means the next time arcane damage would be dealt by us this turn, instead it deals that much plus 1. So this is a way to give Aether Wildfire even more damage on our combo turn, basically. And then it says, if you have no cards in hand, draw a card. So basically it gives us for free +1 damage on Aether Wildfire, which usually translates to around 5 to 9 extra damage on the combo turn. Now we'll talk about the potions. We have 3 of them. I'll start with the Energy Potion. Costs 0 to play, then it just stays on the field until we activate it, and it says instant destroy this, gain 2 resources. So basically what we can do with this is we just have 2 extra resources on a combo turn to potentially sink into our hero ability, or sink into Magikarp's nose, or allow us to pay for like an extra Blazing Aether or something like that. It's just very powerful, very all-round, just a powerhouse in the deck, and I would never think about cutting it. Usually, the 2 resources add, I'd say, around 5 to 10 damage to the combo at a minimum. Then, Potion of Deja Vu. This is, in my opinion, the most powerful of the potions. Because what it says is instant destroy Potion of Deja Vu. Put all cards from your pitch zone on top of your deck in any order. Now, why is this so powerful? For a couple of reasons, I'll get into some more detailed explanation later. But basically, it allows us to guarantee blues of our blind draws. We really want to draw into resource cards. And it can also guarantee our blind Kanos to be whatever we've just pitched. So a combo piece, an extender, or whatever you really want it to be. Then Clarity Potion, instant destroy Clarity Potion up to. This basically has the same function as Deja Vu Potion, except it's less powerful because we can't really control what we put on the top of our deck. It's just whatever we see at the top of our deck that's going there. However, it is still very important in our deck because it lets us make a more informed decision about what to do with our combo turn. And I'll talk about the tempo pieces. These are really only these two, Aether Flare and Aether Spindle. These are kind of fallen out of use recently because the OTK tempo build is really the OTK build of Kano is way more viable competitively in the current meta than the tempo build of Kano. However, I still want to talk about these real quick because they're very strong cards, and I could see us going back to these if we have more support for them or if the meta changes drastically. So, Aether Flare says, cost 1, deal 3 arcane damage to target opposing hero. The next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage instead deals that much arcane damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Aether Flare. So, this basically acts like a mini Wildfire, except it can also work on our turn. Then we have Aether Spindle. This costs 2 and says deal 4 arcane damage to target opposing hero. Opt X, where X is the damage dealt by Spindle. Spindle basically acts as top deck manipulation on our turn, or if you run it in your deck, you can also use it on the combo turn to, for example, find a Blazing or something else of note. Now, the extenders, these are the main 3 extenders that I'll be talking about today. Because they're the main 3 that are in the deck. So in the OTK deck, we run 9 of the Overflows, 9 of the Floodgates, and all 3 of the Sonic Booms. You can only run 3 because this is a Majestic. Overflow says deal 3 arcane, cost 0, deal 3 arcane damage to target hero. Surge, if this deals more than 3 damage, gain 2 resources. So basically, if we've hit with Wildfire this turn, we get 2 resources when this deals damage, which basically equates to another energy potion, and as I just explained in the energy potion portion, that usually equates to around 5 to 10 extra damage on the combo turn, which is very powerful. Then open Floodgates, this costs 2, also says deal 3 arcane damage to target hero. Surge, if this deals more than 3 damage, draw 2 cards. Then this is very powerful, because if we draw the 2 blue cards, we basically get to activate Kano for free again, and then play whatever we hit off the top again. So basically, usually Open the Floodgates and Overflow both equate to an extra spell on our combo turn for every time we hit one of these cards. Sonic Boom says cost 2, deal 3 arcane damage to target opposing hero. If Sonic Boom deals damage, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a wizard non-attack action card, you may banish it. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant, and it costs X resource points less to play, will exit the damage dealt by Sonic Boom. So, on our combo turn, Sonic Boom basically allows us to play the top card of our deck for free if it's a wizard non-attack action card, allowing us to chain into more extenders or potentially another combo piece like Blazing Aether or Aether Wildfire. So, this is pretty important and I wanted to address it even though a lot of people viewing this will already be intimately familiar with the concept of priority. However, as a wizard player, you should really know the rules inside and out. Because you should be able to react at speed at times where your opponent doesn't expect you to react, or at the most opportune time for you to combo. So I've written down 3 things here. It says whenever either player plays something, you get priority. So, for example, whenever you play Wildfire or whenever you play a Blazing on your opponent's turn, you still get to do something before that resolves, which is very important to know. Whenever the turn player tries to go to the next step, you get priority. So, for example, when an opponent tries to end the turn, they try to go to the end step, you get priority. When an opponent passes on reactions, you get priority. And maybe the most important to remember, whenever anything triggers during the action step, you get priority. So, for example, whenever an opponent plays a snatch, for example, you say no blocks to bait out the attack reaction in their hand. They play the attack reaction. Now they have no cards in hand. You take, for example, 7 damage. Your opponent says, I'll draw a card off a snatch. You say, hold on, I'd like to kill you in response because I can respond before the snatch draw happens because it's a trigger in the action step. Just wanted to quickly mention that for those who are not very familiar with priority. If you want me to make a more detailed video about priority, please leave a comment and I will try to get to that as soon as possible. So, now I'll talk about some common combo lines. I've written down the 4 most common lines that you will encounter in game. The secret 5th line is random bullshit go. However, I won't be talking about that here because that's very situational and usually you don't want to go for that. First of all, Wildfire into a bunch of random spells into Blazing Aether. This is by far the most common and the one you'll do in most of your games. Usually, I'll go into some examples in a bit. Usually our hands will involve a Wildfire in arsenal, a Blazing in hand, and 3 blues in hand. That's basically your ideal combo hand. That way you can play the Aether Wildfire, you can play 1, 2, or 3, or 4, maybe more spells in between, and then you play the Blazing Aether and you kill your opponent in 1 turn. Next we'll look at Wildfire Less and Blazing. This used to be our most common combo, however, because our combos have gotten more powerful over time, it's kind of fallen out of favor for the first combo line. It can still be pretty powerful in certain situations, especially if you can, for example, do Wildfire, Lesson, and then 2 Blazings, because your Blind Kano was Lesson for that turn. Then we have Wildfire into Extenders. This is just kind of whenever you play Wildfire, and then you just play a bunch of shit after without finding Blazing Aether, and your opponent just randomly dies. It can happen sometimes. It's not very common. I wouldn't necessarily go for it. But if it lines up that way, might as well. And then we have Kindle lines. We'll go into a bit more detail about Kindle lines later. However, they're mainly powerful because Kindle allows you to dig through your deck very fast. So even if you don't have any combo pieces at the start of your turn, you can maybe dig, for example, 5 to 10 cards deeper to find those combo pieces if you've already seen a huge portion of your deck. Now I'll quickly hop over to Tabletop Simulator to show you some of these combo lines. Alright, so I've set up a quick scenario here. Wait, let me just, adjust this. To show you the standard Wildfire Less and Blazing combo, how it works, and when we typically deploy it. So, how does this combo sequence? We start by putting a Kano activation on the stack. This will eventually be the Kano that will banish our Blazing and let us play it as an instant speed. Then we'll play Storm Striders. This will have 2 resources left over. Holding priority on Storm Striders will activate another Kano. Then before this Kano will resolve, we'll activate Ragamuffin's Hat. The reason we do it like this and we put a lot of these things on a stack at the same time is because if we were to, for example, play our Wildfire first or something like that, we wouldn't have a lot of information on what the top card of our deck is. So we will now draw off Ragamuffin's Hat. We see that this is a blue card. We will put Lesson in Lava on top of our deck, and then we will Kano, let this Kano resolve, and then banish the Lesson in Lava. As you can see in this case, we were pretty lucky because I set it up this way that we draw a blue card off of Ragamuffin's Hat. However, it is also fairly common that you draw a yellow or even a red card off of your Ragamuffin's Hat. And if you do that, you might not be able to pay for the full boss on the Wildfire. So in this case, we can pay for Crucible, let both of these resolve, play the Wildfire, then pay for our Metacarpus node, which will put our Wildfire up to 6. However, if we were to draw a red, we would have only been able to pay for Crucible, which means our Wildfire would have only come in for 5. If we were to draw yellow, we would have been able to pay for Metacarpus, however, we would not have been able to pay for Metacarpus on Lesson in Lava. So this will deal 6 because our opponent has no cards in hand in this imaginary scenario. Then we will play our Lesson in Lava. We have no floating. However, because of Spellfire Cloak, we can still use the Spellfire resource to pay for Metacarpus. Our Lesson in Lava will get a total of +7, which will put it up to 10 damage because its base is 3. It gets +7 because it gets +1 from Metacarpus node and it gets +6 from Wildfire. Then we get to search our deck. First, we put our opponent down to 22 life. Then we get to search our deck for a Blazing Aether. This is usually the card we search for with our lessons on a combo turn, because a Blazing Aether is a very powerful card. It says deal X arcane damage to target hero, where X is the amount of arcane damage you have dealt to that hero this turn. We've dealt a total of 16 arcane damage this turn, and then Wildfire sees it dealing arcane damage and gives it another +6. So our Blazing will come in for a total of 22, which is exactly enough to kill our opponent, luckily. So, this is one of our most reliable combos, as the only really random factor in it is the blind draw of Ragamuffin's Hat, and if we have an energy potion out, even that doesn't really matter because of energy potion giving us 2 resources. Even if we draw a red, that's basically equivalent to drawing a blue if we don't have an energy potion out. And as you can see, if we draw a blue and we have no other potions out, we can still pay for the entire combo line. The reason it's used quite a bit less nowadays is because there's a lot of Kano hate in the format. Most decks are on a standard of AB3 and then some amount of Spell Void, which means our Wildfires usually get stopped for like 2, 3, 4 points, and the damage output of this combo line, if our Wildfire only deals 2 damage, for example, is very low. Like our Lesson would have dealt 6 in this scenario, and then our Blazing would have come in for only 10, which is a total of 18 damage, which is just not enough in the current day and age. Like, we really want our combos to do at least 30 to 35 damage, and ideally even more. So now we'll go over some variation of this standard combo. Okay, so first of all, we have this variation where if we have an energy potion out, we can start with the standard line of doing this, and then activate, sorry, I have to pay for this Kano. And then we'll activate Ragamuffin's Hat to draw, and now if we draw a blue, we can do some pretty cool stuff, because this will banish our Lesson in Lava. We can activate Crucible, then play the Wildfire, and pay for Metacarpus. No, and if you now not pay for Metacarpus, no, sorry, but this will deal a total of 5 damage. We will play this lesson. This will come in for 8. With this lesson, we will search for another Lesson in Lava. This Kano will banish this lesson, which we will play, deal another 8 arcane damage. And then we can search for a Blazing Blazing Aether. Put that on top. With our energy potion and our spellfire cloak, we have exactly 3 resources to pay for Kano to play the Blazing Aether. A blazing will come in for a total of 26. Both of our lessons have dealt 8, which is 16 damage, plus 5 for Wildfire is 21, and then Wildfire busted by another 5, so it would go to 26. For a total of 47 damage if our opponent doesn't block at all. This is a pretty handy trick you can have up your sleeve, because if your opponent taps out and you have an energy potion on the field with this line in hand, you can actually just go for guaranteed lethal if you draw a blue off of Ragamuffin's head, which is very powerful. If our Wildfire deals 1 damage less, we'll have 4 here, 1 here, or 7 here, 7 here, and then our Blazing will deal a total of 22 damage. Because we've dealt 18 damage total, and then Wildfire gives plus 4, which is still 40. So even if you draw a yellow and can't pay for Crucible on your Wildfire, you can still go for the lethal line if your opponent taps out. So this is a very good one to have up your sleeve. Okay, so in this scenario we have a Clarity Potion out in addition to our Energy Potion. And if we crack our Clarity Potion, we get the up 2. And we actually see another Blazing Aether on top of our deck. If you put it back like this, we Kano to banish our Blazing Aether. Then we Storm Striders, and in response Blazing, or Kano. And in response to Kano, we activate Ragamuffin's Head to draw, put this on top. Kano will resolve, banish the lesson. Sorry, the lesson. We can activate Crucible, play Wildfire, Magic Carpet will trigger, we pay the 1. This will come in for 6. We can now play our lesson, this will come in for 9. We can search our deck for another Blazing Aether, put that on top of our deck, and use our Energy Potion and Spellfire Cloak to banish and play that, and then another Blazing Aether at the end. This line deals a lot of damage. This first 3 spells already deals 36, and then the second Blazing deals 42. One advantage of this line is that it still deals a lot of damage, even if your Wildfire gets prevented a lot. Let's say this deals 3, the lesson only will deal 6, and the first Blazing will deal 12 damage, which is a total of 21 damage. Then the Blazing After will deal 24 damage, so that is still a total of 45 damage, even if your opponent AP3s. Which is very powerful, and it doesn't really require a whole lot of setup. It just requires you to see the Blazing on top of your deck, or blind into it if you are choosing to blind Kano that turn. That might sound like a big ask, however, we do have a lot of ways to either guarantee our top deck, or there are a lot of scenarios in which we blind Kano and then a lot of hits are actually beneficial to us. So these were the variations on the Wildfire Lesson Blazing line that I wanted to show you. Now I'll just go over some of the Wildfire Random Spell Blazing lines. Alright, now I'll go over some of the Blazing lines. So when you want to combo off with the Blazing, you always want to blind Kano first. The reason this is the case is, if this is a card that I cannot banish off of Kano, or a card that doesn't deal arcane damage, I can choose not to continue my combo without actually committing any of my equipment. Or if I have to combo, if I'm at a life total where I cannot wait, like my opponent is presenting lethal and I cannot block that turn anymore, for example, I can potentially get through it with my Ragamuffins Head or some other way to get that miss from the top of my deck to the bottom, or to hand or somewhere else. In this case, it is a hit, so we banish it. Then we can activate Storm Striders. We have 2 floating. Then in response to our Storm Striders, we will activate Kano. Then in response to Kano, we will activate Ragamuffins Head. This is a lot like the Wildfire Lesson Blazing combo. We draw off Ragamuffins Head. That is a blue. You put this on top. we let the Kano resolve, we banish the Blazing Aether, then we'll activate Crucible, our Sword Strikers will resolve, we'll play Arcane or Aether Wildfire, Meta Corruption will trigger, we will pay the 1, so this will come in for 6. Play Destructive Aether Tide, Meta Corruption will trigger, we will also pay the 1. This will come in for 7. The Surge effect does trigger and destroys our opponent's arsenal, however, we are assuming that that doesn't matter in this case if we combo. We usually want to kill our opponent on combo turns, so Surge effects like Destructive Aether Tide or Aether Arc don't really matter most of the time. Then we'll play Blazing Aether, Meta Corruption will trigger, we will pay with Spellfire Cloak. This will deal a total of 13 plus 6 from the Wildfire buff is 19, plus 1 from Meta Corruption is 20. So we will deal a total of 33 damage. So, as you can see, the most standard Wildfire X or Wildfire random spell Blazing line is less damage than Wildfire, less damage than Wildfire Lesson Blazing. However, as I said before, we still usually go for this type of line. Why is that? Well, when we blind Kano, we can hit. We don't necessarily have to hit a Destructive Aether Tide, which is basically our worst card that deals arcane damage on the combo turn, right? It's just a 0 for 1. We can also hit what we call extenders. These are cards that can extend your combo turn. And I'll just show you an example of that right now. Okay, so I've set up a quick scenario here where I can show you the power of the extenders in the Kano deck. Because we are doing a Blazing line, we will just activate Kano, banish the Sonic Boom. We will activate Storm Striders, do floating. In response to Storm Striders, we will activate Kano, and then in response to Kano, we'll activate Ragamuffin's Hat, draw, then put this on top. Kano will resolve, we will banish the Blazing Aether. Then we can activate Crucible, we have 1 more floating. Both will resolve, we will play the Wildfire, we have 2 floating, our Meta Corruption trigger, which we will pay for because we have 1 more floating now, and we can use Spellfire Cloak to pay for the Sonic Boom. If this was a yellow, we would not, or a red, we would have paid for either. We would have not paid for either Meta Corruption or Crucible, so we can afford the Sonic Boom after the Wildfire. This will deal 6 arcane damage. Then we'll activate the Spellfire Cloak up to 2 floating. Play the Sonic Boom. This will deal a total of 9 damage because it gets plus 6 from Wildfire. Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom's damage effect will resolve, which will banish the top card of our deck. Because it's a wizard non-attack, it also costs die less to play, and we can play it as an instant this turn. The card we banish is Open the Floodgates, which we will play. It deals a total of 9 damage now, because it gets plus 6 from Wildfire, and because it deals more than 3 damage, we get to draw 2 cards, so we draw 2. Then we can activate Kano, banish a Destructive Aether Tide. We have a Kano left over here, so we can either pay for some Meta Corruption triggers, or we can activate Kano again, which I will do. This is not a 0 cost, so we sadly cannot play it this turn. However, we can still play the Destructive Aether Tide for 7, which will deal 7, of course, and then we can play the Blazing Aether at the end. As you can see here, just a simple couple of extenders really made our combo turn go from what was 33 damage to now, if our Blazing deals 18, plus 7 is 25, plus 6 is 31, then it gets plus 6 from Wildfire, so 37 damage. Plus 31 we've already dealt is 68 damage on the combo turn, which is quite a fucking lot. Like, if Wildfire here deals only 3 damage, this doesn't get buffed. This only deals 6, this also only deals 6, and this one will only deal 4. However, we will still deal 12 plus 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19, plus another 3 for the Blazing is 22, plus 19 is 41 damage, which is more than someone's starting life total. So even if they AB3 here, we still get over the top and kill them from full health. That is the power of the extenders in this deck, and this is also why we prefer the actual Wildfire random spell blazing combo over just Wildfire lesson blazing, because Wildfire lesson blazing has a defined ceiling. It will never deal more than 36 damage, or if you're going for the Wildfire lesson blazing line, if you have an E-Pod out, it will never deal more than I think 47 damage is what it was. Well, this can deal, like, as you can see, upwards of 68 damage, or just more than 40 through AB3. That is why we usually go for this line. In because our combo lines are a lot more, let's say, random than they were before when we just went for Wildfire lesson blazing. It is a bit harder to recognize when to go for a combo turn. So that is why I will show you right now a couple of examples of how to practice when you can or can't go for a combo turn, because most of it comes down to experience. So I'll just show you how to practice that right now. So Kindle. Kindle is one of the strongest cards for Kano. Why is that? There are two main reasons. Kindle, the first one is probably the biggest reason. It just makes our combos do more damage, right? Because it amps one for basically no cards, which basically costs no cards. It basically just gives our Wildfire +1 for that combo turn. And as you saw just now with combo lines, our normal Wildfire lesson blazing line deals 36 damage. If our Wildfire deals 7 instead of 6, it now deals 41 damage, and 41 is just enough to kill our opponent from full health, right? That is why, one of the reasons why Kindle is so strong in our deck. The other reason is, because it helps us dig deeper on a combo turn, it helps us reduce variance in a way, because if you could not find your first Blazing Aether or your lesson before your heads go off, Kindle helps you dig through your deck on your combo turn to actually find those power cards. Anyway, Will of Arcana is also a very strong card in our deck. It's essentially a stronger Kindle, because what it does is it's a blue, and when you pitch it, you amp 1. So it's basically a Kindle, except Kindle draws a blue every time, instead of just a bit over half the time. Now, there are a couple lines you can do with Kindle. You have Wildfire Kindle lines. This is what I was talking about just now when you don't have a Blazing Aether, but you still have to go off. You can use Kindle to dig through your deck a lot and try to find another combo piece or an extender or whatever. Then we have Double Kindle. This becomes very strong very quickly, because your Wildfire would come in for 8. And yeah, if you can loop Will of Arcana with Deja Vu Potion, which I'll get to later, your Wildfire can come in for 9, 10, 11, some crazy number like that. There's a downside to Kindle, because if you have triple Kindle in hand, when you go for your combo, it's kind of unworkable. It's very hard to work with 3 Kindles, especially if they're all 3 in your hand. If one of them is in your arsenal, it's okay. It can be okay, but usually you only want a maximum of 2. So now I'll just hop over to Tabletop Simulator again and show you some of the combo lines. Okay, with Kindle, a hand like this is kind of one of our best case scenarios, right? Kindle is usually better. Why can I? A better arsenal piece than Wildfire, because it's so awkward if you have multiples in hand, right? You like to have one in arsenal. So how do we approach this, right? We don't have a second combo piece here, but we do have the Gaze Aces that we can use rags on. So how about I'll just show you how it works. Let's just assume that Gaze Aces is a normal blue. We can Striders and Crucible, one floating. Then we can play the Wildfire from hand. We have 2 floating. Then in response to the Metacarp trigger, we can activate Kano. And then in response to our Kano activation, we can play the Kindle. Because we have no cards in hand, we amp 1 and draw. So we draw into a Blazing. Now we can use Ragamuffin's Head to draw another card and put this on top of our deck, right? Then Arcano resolves. We banish the Blazing Aether. In response to the Metacarp trigger, we'll Kano again, just to see what we hit. And now we can do some math, and we can pay for the Metacarp's trigger. So our Wildfire will come in for 7. 7. Then we can play the lesson, pay for the Metacarp's trigger with Wildfire Cloak. So this would come in for 10. Actually 11. Sorry. Then the Blazing would deal 25, and we've dealt 18 damage, so that's a total of 43 damage. So yeah, that's just basically how you use Kindle in its most basic way, right? We can go over some lines where you already have the. Let's just draw 3 blues. Let's say we have this and then a Kindle. Now, this line is kind of awkward because we need to draw 2 random cards, right? Because we have the Kindle draw and the Ragamuffin draw. Usually we're going to draw at least 1 red, and we kind of don't want that. So for this hand specifically, I really only like to go for it if I already have an energy potion or a Deja Vu potion or a clarity potion out, so I can guarantee that at least one of my draws will be a blue. So I'll just demonstrate this with an energy potion out on the field. Because this is a blazing line, we like to blind Kano first, just to see what we hit. We hit a Sonic Boom, that's great. Now I'll activate Striders, have 2 floating, then I'll activate Ragamuffin Head to draw, put this on top, we draw into Will of Arcana, that's pretty cool. Then I did this wrong, right, sorry. Before we activate the Ragamuffin Head, we have to play the Kindle. Otherwise we still have a card in hand, of course. So we put this on top. Volcano with Will, we'll just assume that this isn't a Will of Arcana right now, because I'm gonna get into Will later in the video. Now we draw off Kindle. It's a red, so as I said before, right, we can expect one of our blind draws to be a red, which is why we like to have the energy potion out. Because now we can still pay for everything that we want to pay for, right? So we can Crucible, Wildfire, Metacarpal trigger will pay for that with Spellfire Cloak. So our Wildfire will come in for 8 if we include the Will of Arcana. However, I will make it 7 because this is a showcase of Kindle and not of Will of Arcana. So this deals 7, then we can use E-Pot to pay for Sonic Boom to come in for 4. Look at the top, that's a Destructive Aethertide, perfect, so we'll play this for 8. Oops. And then we can play the Blazing Aether for a total of 25 plus 7 is 32 damage. And we dealt 25 damage, so the total of our combo is 57. Let's say they AB3 here. Let's see how much they do if they AB3. This will be for 4. This will be for 7. This will be for 5. And then our total damage will be 16 plus 20 is 36. So as you can see here, Kindle allows us to do very, very large combo numbers, even through AB3. And it's not like we hit like double extender or something blind off the top. We just hit 1, which is if you Kano twice, it's like pretty likely you hit at least 1 extender or a combo piece. Now I'll show you how to sequence like double Kindle lines. So for double Kindle lines, I also like to have at least an energy potion out, because again, we have to draw so many blind cards, and we really want to be able to pay for our Wildfire and stuff. Let's just get this one and another blue, and put the rest back. Okay, so how would I go about sequencing this hand? I'd go for Stormstrider's Crucible, have 1 floating, and then just play the Wildfire with the last blue. Now we have 2 floating, and in response to the Metacarp trigger, I'd play both Kindles. So the first Kindle draws, we blind round the Blazing Aether because we're just that good. Then we can rag him off his head to put it on top. I did randomize, right? Okay, well. Kano, banish the Blazing Aether, then the second Kindle draws his card. That will Kano again. See an overflow. So now just do some quick math. The overflow gives us 2 more resources, so we'd be at 4 plus this is 7 resources. We want to be able to Kano and hit a 2 cost, so we'll probably just pay for Metacarps here. This would be for 7. Overflow will come in for 9 and give us 2 resources. So we go to 3, we can activate Kano with those resources. Banish another Aether Wildfire, we'll play that and pay for Metacarpus Node with Spellfire Cloak. This will be for 11. And the Blazing Aether will be for 18. Plus 9 is 27, plus 18 is 45, I think. So Blazing deals 45, we've dealt another 27, so total damage is 72, I think. Let's say our opponent prevents like 5 damage on the Wildfire because they're nuts. So this deals another 4, and this will deal 6. So it's 2, 4, 6. That's 6. That's 12 plus 8 is 20, so that's still 32, even if they prevent 5 on a Wildfire, which most of the time they can't do. So yeah, double Kindle. Wait, this Wildfire was for 8, right? So I've messed up. Oh no. It is actually like lethal, probably. Because it's 8 plus 7 is 15. Plus 22 is... No, it's 37 damage if... What? Is that right? Yeah, it is right. So it's 37 damage if our opponent prevents 5 on the first Wildfire, which, they most likely can't. So this is kind of why Kindle is so strong. But yeah, for Kindle to be like at its best, you do kind of need to have a number of potions out, right? Because let's say we draw a red instead of all blues, just one red. Now we can't really pay for this Metacarpus even, because we want to pay for a 2 cost off of the blind Kano, usually. So that would make it a lot less damage. However, it would still be threatening a lot of damage, even if that was the case. Okay. Yeah, now I'll just hop back over to the presentation because that's really all I want to show with Kindle. Alright, now I'm going to explain to you how we can best make use of our potions in the deck. First off, we have Energy Potion. This is probably the easiest one to use and the most self-explanatory. It just gives us 2 resources on our combo turn. Usually you want to save this for as late as possible. Like to pop the resources as late as possible in the turn because it makes activating rags and drawing a card off Kindle a lot easier if we don't use these resources early on in the turn. Then we have Clarity Potion. This one is also fairly easy to use because it just opts 2. What we can do with this is usually we can use it to decide if we want a combo. Like, let's say our opponent has 1 blue in hand and they have 1 more card in hand and they have like Spell Void 2 AB2, for example. If they have a blue, they can prevent 4 on Wildfire. But we have a Clarity Potion, so we can just look at the top cards. If we see like an Extender and a Blazing Aether, for example, and we already have a Blazing Aether in our hand, we know that it's probably going to kill if we combo. However, if we just see 2 random blue zaps on top, we will know that it's not very great to combo in this situation because we'll probably not be able to do a lot of damage, so we can just block a bit and save our combo for next turn. Usually you want to use it to fix blind Kanos first, I think that is the most important part about fixing with our deck. And if you have multiple, or if you just pop one at the start of your turn, you can usually uh, set up both your blind draws and your blind Kanos. But if you have multiple out, like use one on the start of your turn, and then if you have a floodgates after, you should probably just blind draw and then save the clarity potion to fix your blind Kano, because usually you will draw 4 resources. However, which is enough to pay for a card off the top. However, if you then blind into a brick, you lose anyway, which you really don't want. And if you draw less resources, it's still pretty likely you can set up a win if you know what's on top of your deck, right? Then we have Deja Vu Potion. This is by far the most complicated potion to use in the deck. Might even be the most complicated card to use in the deck, period, because there are so many use cases for it. It's actually crazy how many use cases this card has. So of course we have a couple surface level usages. We can guarantee our blind Kanos. Let's say we pitch a blue floodgates, we can put that on top to guarantee we have a floodgate on our turn. We can guarantee our blind draws with Kindle or Ragamuffin's Hat, because if we pitch a couple blues, put those on top with Deja Vu Potion, now we know what we're going to draw into. We can use it to fix our next hand. This one isn't very common to use, but it's still useful to have in your back pocket. Right, if you're on like a post combo situation, for example, and you have 4 blues in your pitch zone, you can use those. You can put those on top to know that you draw into 4 blues next turn. Then we have a couple more complicated use cases. We can use it to get the Eye of Ophidia or Will of Arcana pitch effect multiple times. Because what happens is, if we pitch it and then put it back on top, we can draw it and pitch it again. So we get the effect twice. And if you have multiple Deja Vu potions, you can even get it 3 times. We can use it to play Gaze multiple times in a turn. If we Ragamuffin's Gaze on top of our deck, we can play it once and then we can pitch it and play it again. Usually you'll do it the other way around, but you know. Then we can use it to play multiple potions in one turn. Let's say we have a hand of Deja Vu Potion, Clarity Potion, and Energy Potion, and a Wildfire that we want to put in Arsenal. We can, on our turn, play the Deja Vu Potion, Kano twice, with the Clarity and the E-Pot, and then put those on top with Deja Vu Potion, Kano into them, and then play them, which is very useful, and I'll showcase that in a bit. And we can use it to combo without using our equipment. So if we have, for example, Deja Vu Potion and 2 E-Pots out, we can use the Deja Vu Potion to put a Wildfire on top of our deck. We can use this to threaten, to bait our opponents using their Spell Void, for example, or just if we want to push a bunch of damage and put our opponent to a low life total, so our actual combo will be guaranteed to finish them off. Now I'll just hop over to Tabletop Simulator to show you some of the lines with Deja Vu Potion. Okay, so I'm here set up a situation where we can use the Deja Vu Potion to both guarantee our blind draws of Ragamuffin's Head and one of our floodgates, and to guarantee our blind Kano. I'll just show you how I'm going to do that. Let's say I activate Kano twice here for the blazing and the floodgates. Then we activate Striders to get the last card of our hand, out of our hand. 2 floating. We'll let the Striders resolve. We'll activate Deja Vu Potion. Put these on top. So we put the E-Pot on top, and then 2 floodgates under it. Then we'll use Rag to draw. Put this on top. Then both Kanos will resolve. Will banish a blazing and the floodgates. Now we can Crucible, Wildfire, pay for Metacarpet. Comes in for 6. Let's just say deal 6. We'll activate Spellfire Cloak, get the floodgates to deal 7. Now we'll draw 2. We know one of our draws is the floodgates that we put on top of the Deja Vu Potion. We'll draw another. Then we can activate Kano, banish the Sonic Boom, play that. We'll pay for Metacarpus to bump it up to 10. Banish the top, play this for 7, and then play the blazing for more than enough to kill. As you can see here, with Deja Vu Potion here allowed us to guarantee that we draw at least one blue of the floodgates and one blue of the racks, and it guarantees us the first Kano to be an extender, which is just insanely powerful because it basically acts like an energy potion and a clarity potion in one. And if we would have just blind Kano, we would have hit the Aether Arc, and then we would have drawn into the Sonic Boom, which is like not a great combo turn at all. But with this, with just Deja Vu Potion, it just basically made us go 5 spells wide and guarantee our blind draws to be blues, which is just very powerful. Now I'll set up like a different scenario. I think I'll set up a quick one where we can use it to play out our potions, because that's pretty easy to, let's say this is one of these. And let's say we just have Clarity and another Deja Vu in our hand. So if this is, let's say this is the second turn, now we can just Kano 3 times. Oh wait, this is also here. We just Kano 3 times, activate the Deja Vu, put these 3 on top, let all 3 Kanos resolve, we'll play them out. And now we just basically traded our Deja Vu potion for 3 different potions, and we can arsenal the Wildfire. So we're perfectly set up for next turn to do a combo if we want to. Yeah, we probably can this turn. I'll just play it out, so why not? We'll just activate Clarity Potion here to opt 2. See what we got. 2 blues, that's amazing. We can use that to draw with our floodgates. Alternatively, we can maybe go overflow floodgates. Can we do that? Do we have resources for that? I just have to do some quick math. Let's just play it out, why not? So, I'd like to keep our Ragamuffin's hat here, so because if we then draw like a good card, we can put that on top. We'll Kano twice, we have one floating, then we'll Kindle, draw. Then we Deja Vu Potion, put this here, then probably this one, and then this one. Kano resolves twice, banish these 2. If we do this instead, right, if we just switch those 2 around, I think we can, yeah, we can Strider's Crucible, have 2 floating, Wildfire, with Spellfire from Metacarpus for 7, because let's say they prevent 3, so it does 4. Now we can play the Overflow for 6, get 2 resources, play this Overflow for 5, get another 2 resources, so we have 4 floating. We'll activate Kano, banish the floodgates, activate Epot, play the floodgates for 6, draw 2. The first one is the Aether Flare, then we draw into another floodgate, so we can Kano, and then activate Ragmuffin's Hat to draw. Yeah, put one of these on top. Banish, play this for 5. We will not pay for Metacarpus to ensure that we don't draw dead. We can Kano, banish Sonic Boom, play that for 7. Banish the top of our deck, and we can play it if it's personal attack. We'll play that for 5, and then we deal grand total of, how much damage is this? 12, 17, 23, 28, 34 plus 4 is 38 without a Blazing Aether, so that's pretty good. So yeah, that's just the power of having 3 potions on the field, right? It just allows you to both fix your top deck, and especially Deja Vu Potion being able to fix both your top deck and your draws is just really powerful. Now I'll go over some more complicated use cases for Deja Vu Potion. let me just get a couple blues in hand and then search for video. Because with video, we can use that to get the video effect multiple times if you have a Deja Vu potion out. So, sorry. What we can do here is we can just Striders, Crucible, one floating, play Wildfire with pitching Video, so we get to up 2. So we see 2 pretty good cards on top for deck. We can put both of these on top. We'll activate Kano again, banish. We're doing this in response to the Magic Cards trigger, right, as always. We can Deja Vu Potion, put these on top. In response to Deja Vu, we'll crack Wildfire Cloak to activate Kano. Then we can Deja Vu Potion, put these on top. We can Kindle to draw. And then pay for Metacarpus. We have 2 floating. So this will be for 7. We can draw 2. Sorry. We'll play the floodgates first, then we can draw 2. So this will be for 9. And now we draw back into the Video, right? So we can use the Video effect again. If we Kano, we can up 2 again. We'll bottom destructive, put up this. So we can up 2 again from Gaze. Let's see here. Let's see, do we have the resources to play both of this out? Yeah, we do. So we can just stop both of these. Finish the overflow, play both of these. We get 4 resources. We use 3 of those to Kano. So banish the lesson, play the lesson, search, blazing, Kano, banish the blazing, play the blazing, deal fuck ton of damage, and our opponent dies. So, as you can see, with just Deja Vu Potion now, we can basically just use the IV effect twice. If we use Ragamuffins, if we don't see good cards of the Casey Ages, we can use our Rags to do that twice because we didn't have to use Rags because we had Deja Vu Potion out. Deja Vu Potion just allows you to do some very silly things in the deck. I can show you a bit of how looping Will of Arcana works as well. How about we just do looping Will and Gaze in the same hand? We can probably get that to work, right? That's very powerful, but I can just show you how to do it. Can I? Yeah, thank you. Let's just get the overflow and then another one. We'll search for Will of Arcana. Yeah, with this. So now what we can do here, if we can Striders, Crucible, one floating. We can play the Wildfire. We now have 2 floating. Metacarp's Node will trigger. We have 1 amp right now. I'll just use this dice to get the amp. Oh, fuck off. Sorry. I have to do this again because I misclicked. I'll just use this dice to indicate the amp we have. Now, what we can do is we can Kano. And then Deja Vu Potion in response, put these on top. Now, Kano will banish Gaze. We'll draw the Will of Arcana. Now we have 2 amp. And we can Kano again to banish the overflow. Now we have 3 amp. Then we can play Gaze to up 2. We'll see another Gaze and an Energy Potion. The Energy Potion can go to the bottom. This Gaze can go on top. We can Kano, banish this Gaze to up 2. Floodgates and Lesson in Lava. Let's see if we can get both Lesson in Lava and Floodgates in our banish zone, and then play the Floodgates to draw into some resources, or if you just want to go with the lesson line. I think we just want to go with the lesson line. Yeah. We just put these on top and get this back to hand. Now we can play for Metacarpus. Because we have 3 amp, this Wildfire will come in for 9. We can play the Overflow for 10. Get 2 more resources, activate Kano to banish the lesson, play the lesson for 12. Get Blazing Aether. And we can use Spellfire Cloak in our 2 floating to play for Kano to play the Blazing Aether. And again, we do just a crap ton of damage. This is why it's so powerful to be able to loop Will of Arcana with Kindle, because you get basically 3 amp and you use 0 cards from hand, so your Wildfire will come in for 7. Even if you can pay for Crucible or Metacarpus, no, your Wildfire will just come in for 7 on base, and that's just very powerful. That's just incredibly powerful to be able to do. So yeah, that's basically what we can use Deja Food Potion for. Oh, I'll show you a scenario where we want to maybe fix our top deck, right? Oh, shit. That was a blue overflow. Goddamn. I'll just... We have this out. Let's say we just put our opponent to 4, right? We just put our opponent to 4. And now in our turn we have just 3 blues. And so we Kano, banish the lesson, we Kano again, we see a Wildfire on top, and now we're like, ah, that's pretty cool. We can probably use that. So if I now just Crucible lesson for 5, they AB 3, so they take 2. Now we decline our search, we'll Kano, and then we say I won't banish. Then we put these back on top with Deja Vu Potion. Now we guarantee basically that the top of our deck is a Wildfire. So we can Kano twice, banish the Wildfire, and whatever other card we have, Overflow. So even if they're at like 10 or something, because our combo fell very hard, we can just send the Wildfire for, and we have none of this. We can just send the Wildfire for 5. They did take 2. We can send the Overflow for 3. Get 2 resources. Kano. What? Banish the Blazing because we're just that good, and then we kill them. So yeah, in this type of situation, fixing your next hand is very powerful. However, it is not something that I do very often. We used to do it a lot more when we were playing a lot more on our turn and doing combos on our turn and stuff. But nowadays it's not very common. However, I did do it in one of my calling games, so I still wanted to mention it. But yeah, that's really all I want to show with Deja Vu Potion. Alright, so when do we know when to actually go for combo? This is probably one of the more difficult things to learn as a new Kano player. So the easiest thing to do is just remember, what does our ideal combo hand look like? Usually we want 1 to 3 potions, a Wildfire, a Blazing, Will of Arcana or Kindle to buff the Wildfire, and then 2 more blues, or like an extender or something that we can put on top with Deja Vu Potion. So if you can aim for something that is close to that, you're probably in business. If your opponent has low prevention, like they only run very few blues, or they have no spell void or only AB1 or something like that, we need less potions and we need less amp effects, like usually against a Syndra, for example, who's only on AB1 spell void 1. You don't really need the extra Kindle or the Will of Arcana, or you only need, like, for example, 1 energy potion to kill them. While against Aurora, for example, with AB3 spell void 2, you usually do want the Will of Arcana or the Kindle, and you usually want at least 2 potions before you go off. But the best way to know if a hand is comboable is just experience, right? So the best way to learn that is to just try a bunch, right? So what I recommend doing is, if you're a new player, if you're new to Kano, put a Wildfire in your arsenal, draw 4 cards, and just see what the max damage you can do is through, like, for example, AB3 or something. Maybe put a potion on the field, or maybe just see what you can do if you have, for example, Wildfire in arsenal, Blazing in hand, and just draw 3 random cards, and just go through the motions a couple times, get a feel for when does a hand typically do a lot of damage and when does it typically fizzle, for example. Now, of course, sometimes you're just going to brick, right? You can just draw 3 reds in a row, or you can just Kano into Kindle at a critical moment and lose the game off of that. So try to recognize when a hand has a high percentage to win, and when you just sort of brick at a wrong time, even though there was a very high chance you could have won. So the intellect penalty, right? What is an intellect penalty? So an intellect penalty is when you keep a card or 2 in hand at the end of your turn without being able to arsenal them. So you basically draw less than the printed intellect is on your hero. So this is, in most games of Flesh and Blood, this is very bad to do, because most Flesh and Blood decks look to maximize turn by turn value, which means that every turn from their hand they want to get the max amount of damage or the max amount of block or the max amount of whatever from that hand as they can possibly get. But Kano is a bit different, because Kano really wants to maximize his combo turn damage and not necessarily his turn by turn damage. So Kano will often keep cards like Kindle or Will of Arcana, Ivophilia, Wildfire, or Blazing in their hand to set up for a combo turn beyond just having arsenal or potions not an arsenal or potions on the field. So, for example, if you have a Wildfire in arsenal and you draw into a Blazing, an energy potion, and 2 reds, you can just block with those reds and play out the energy potion and just set up for your next turn, right? Because maybe your next turn is a lot better as a combo hand, and especially because of the energy potion, the chance of you drawing into a better combo hand is a lot higher. Alright, so what builds does Kano have right now? So currently there's really 2 builds for Kano. We have the full OTK build, also known as ICBM, which is currently the most competitive Kano build. The goal of that deck is to just set up potions and try to find Kindle and Wildfire to set up a huge combo turn on turn 2, 3, 4, which kills your opponent from 40, just straight up through whatever prevention they have. And then there's also the tempo build, which operates a little bit differently. It tries to chip your opponent down to around 20 to 30 life and then kills with a relatively small combo. So usually in the tempo build you're not aiming for 40 plus damage combos. You just want to do, for example, Wildfire Lesson Blazing, which through AB2 deals 26 damage, and the turns before that you chip your opponent down to 26 by using cards like Spindle or Flare or stuff like that. Currently, ICBM is really the only competitive Kano build, so that's what I'll be showing you. So I'll just hop over to February right now to show you one of those builds. Okay, so this is my current deck that I'm going to be bringing to my pro quests. Obviously we have Kano, then the equipment that I've talked about, and here you can see what the deck really looks like. So I run currently 33 blues. What? Okay. Currently run 33 blues, and as you can see, we have obviously the Wildfire and the Blazing and the Lesson as the combo cards. We have Kindle here and Ivophilia, or not Ivophilia, Will of Arcana as the amp cards. And then we have a couple of what we call extenders. So as I said previously, these are the cards that refund resources on your combo turn. So we have 9 Floodgates, 9 Overflow, and then 3 Sonic Boom. So this is what really makes the deck ICBM, is the 9 Overflow and the 9 Floodgates. And then we have a couple of 0 cost deal 1 arcane damage cards. These are just the most efficient on a combo turn. If you blind Kano and hit a 0 cost, that is basically the best thing that you can hit outside of either the extenders or the combo pieces. So that's why you run those. Those are basically just filler cards. Aether Flare is kind of a mini Wildfire on your combo turn, right? Since it only busts the next card. Then we have the 8 potions. We run 3 energy potion, 3 potion of Deja Vu, and 2 clarity potion. The reason we only run 2 clarity potion is because the effect is a little bit less impactful than energy potion and Deja Vu potion, and we don't really want to fill up our deck with too many cards that brick on our combo turn. However, there has been some talk about a third clarity potion, which I can see being correct. Then of course we have Gaze the Ages. This is probably one of our best blues because it fixes our top deck, and it basically just costs 0 resources. If we activate Kano and then play the Gaze the Ages, goes back to our hand, gives us another 3 resources. And this is the sideboard. We have Tunic for some longer matchups. We have Alluvian Constellus for the mirror. And then Scour is specifically right now for Vincent and Florian. Kano has a lot of sideboard slots that he can use that are basically like leftover, sort of. So he has a lot of slots that he can dedicate to maybe less frequently found matchups, right? So, for example, Vincent doesn't really you don't really face Vincent that often. However, we can still dedicate to sideboard slots because we just have a lot of room left over. Run Imperial Edict. I'm just currently testing this. So what you can do is you can name a card, and then so what you do is the turn before you want to combo, you crack it, then you name Oasis Respite, and then your opponent can name Oasis Respite on your combo turn, for example, or Steadfast, or Seeds of Tomorrow, or any other card that prevents arcane damage in huge quantities, really. Then I have the Aether Quickening, the Photon Splicing, and the Swell Tidings. So Aether Quickening and Photon Splicing both are 1 for 4 arcane damage cards. The extra effect is largely irrelevant. Swell Tidings is a 2 for 5 arcane damage spell, which is also largely irrelevant, the extra effect. And then Waning Moon. These cards really come together into some of the slower mashups, like for example Florian, where you just cut most of your extenders, you keep in the Red Overflow and the Sonic Booms, and you replace those with these cards and Waning Moon, which allow you to have a bit of a more proactive game plan. So because Florian doesn't run that many blues, you can strip a couple cards on your turn, which leaves them with less cards on their turn, and if they want to protect themselves from your combo turn, now they can't really put any pressure on you, which means you can just rinse and repeat, do it all over again, and eventually set up like 6 potions or whatever and just kill them through their AB3 spell for 2 or whatever they have. So yeah, that's really what the deck looks like right now. So I'll just hop back over to the presentation. Okay, so how do we beat aggro decks? Generally, against aggro decks, going first is good. So we want to go first as much as possible because then we can set up our potions on turn 0 and dig for more combo pieces with our hero ability. Finding Wildfire is instrumental, really. We cannot win without Wildfire in this deck. In like 99% of cases, right? Grabbing tempo can be good. So, for example, if you can send a lesson which demands a blue or a Sonic Boom or something. However, typically just blocking with those cards is better because the ICBM build doesn't really care about tempo, since it aims to kill your opponent through whatever prevention they may have. Comboing without an ideal hand is usually fine, since these matchups are very fast and our opponent doesn't really aim to prevent a lot of damage on our Wildfire, usually. We can get away with just sending, for example, a hand with Wildfire and 2 guaranteed extenders and no Blazing Aether. Ideally, we want to do Wildfire and Blazing, of course, in the same turn. However, Wildfire into extenders is fine as long as you have a decent chance of finding a Blazing, or if you can do so much Wildfire damage that you don't even need a Blazing Aether to still kill them. Now I'll just hop over to Talishar to show you 1 or 2 games against an aggro deck. Okay, so we're hopefully going to be facing off against an Aurora if he doesn't disconnect. We're just going to run the main board here and the Crucible and see what happens. Hopefully he's on AB3 Spellvoid 2 Balance of Justice, because that is the most common build. And I can sneak in a victory here, because I'd love to showcase the Aurora matchup in the beginner's guide. So let's see if we can do that. If he submits his deck, that is. see him submit. Come on, come on. I know you want to. You love playing against Kano. I know it. I see it in your eyes. Your empty lightning room blade eyes. Okay, this is a good first hand. Our opponent is not on Balance of Justice. However, it is still AB3 spelled by 2, so that is acceptable. We're gonna, if our opponent presents something, we're gonna block with Floods and Twining. If our opponent does not present something, we're just gonna take our turn, probably, and Crucible Floodgates to threaten the draw 2 and take a card from our opponent's hand. Arsenal the Wildfire, keep the Blazing in hand. Maybe draw into some good combo hands and see what we can do. Our opponent decides to start with a Burn Up Shock. We are going to take the shock. Because of this. For this exact reason, we're going to block the Floodgates. Our opponent is probably going to present a 0 for 4, in which case... do we want to block that out? Just thinking here, like, if we don't block with the Blazing, we take 4 more damage, we go to 24. We do guarantee a Blazing, however, it is pretty early in the game, we do want to see some potions first. I'm just thinking we're just going to block 6. If he has a Lightning Press in hand, that's whatever. We are never blocking with Wildfire here anyway, so... Seeing a Burn Up Shock go that early is good for us, generally, because Burn Up Shock is definitely a power card against us, since we can't really block their turn out at all. So it's just a straight 0 for 5 into Kano. Speaking about Kano, we're just gonna do that real quick. An Aether Flare. We could Kano here again. Or we could... I think grabbing the card here is more important, so we're just gonna Crucible Floodgates. Actually, probably just Flare Floods is better, because then if they AB the Flare, I can Kano anyway. So that's probably a slight misplay. And if they take the Flare, I deal an extra point of damage, right? So, yeah. I probably should have Flare Floods there, but that's alright. It's a minor misplay, but, you know. Our opponent hopefully lets us draw 2. That would be pretty great. Oh, they don't. That's a shame. Or are they gonna use 2 resources on? They just took 2 damage for free for no reason. Okay, sure enough. That's fine with me. I don't care enough to care. We're just probably gonna block 6 play at the D-pot. Actually blocking 3, keeping the case in hand is not bad. Depends on kind of what they send, right? If we want to block the extra 3, we can. However, if we don't, it's not the end of the world, right? Keeping the gaze in hand is pretty good on a combo turn, especially if we have a D-pot out. So we can potentially play it twice or something like that. Definitely wouldn't mind that. Let's see what our opponent is going to do. Hopefully something soon. Thank you, Skizik. We're not going to block this because it doesn't do anything on hit. We're just going to take 4. Usually you just want to block the last thing as Kano, same as with any other aggro deck. If you have cards left over, right, you're just blocking the last thing. Because that is typically the most important thing to block. Please just pass, bro. Oh my god. I am going to go insane. Okay, so our game plan is here is to probably block with just less and keep the gaze, play the D pot, next turn draw into 2 blues, or draw into like a blue and an extender or whatever. Use our D pot to get the gaze on top, get some opting done, get some Kindle draw action, get some Ragamuffin draw action, get some Wildfire for 7 action, get some opponent dies through AB3 spell void 2 from 38 action. Yeah, it's gonna take that as well. Our opponent's hopefully not gonna think for an eternity on this as well. That would kind of suck. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And discharge into snatch. We're not blocking the snatch out. We're just gonna block for 3. Keep the gaze in hand, as I said. Our opponent's gonna Aurora and take for an arsenal the card. Probably if it's written in the stars, you're probably not gonna arsenal. However, they've seen 2 written in the stars, so it would be pretty unlucky if it was. That's just straight up a misplay. Why? Yeah, I don't know why they played that. Because if they arsenal away, this is the same as playing it, except they get an extra turn if they pitch a lightning card next turn. So we're just gonna play the D pot and pass priority. If we are really good at the game, we're gonna draw to either Fidia and Wildfire Kano. We're not that good at the game. We're still pretty good though. Lesson is pretty good here. We're just gonna take that burn up damage. No reason not to. I mean, the COV trigger is technically a reason not to, but I don't give a fuck. So. Also, a thing about lesson, we can't tutor for Wildfire Kano. That would be a good tutor target right now because it's, really good with Kindle and Deja pushing out, but sadly, we cannot. So, that is a shame. How would I sequence this if I were to have to combo right now? Yeah, I got it. We probably Kindle, double Kano, Deja Potion, bench the gaze, Rags, the lesson on top, second Kano resolves, then we Striders, draw off Kindle, hopefully something good, then we blue preferably, then we Crucible, Wildfire, Gaze, opt a bit and see if we can find a overflow or floodgate so we can go 4 spells wide with the lesson and the blazing at the end. And also hopefully our opponent taps out here. That would be perfect. What would be even more perfect if our opponent doesn't take fucking 3 minutes? Like, what are we playing against fucking Brody Spurlock right now? What is this? What is this? Come on, come on. How hard can it be? You have 3 cards in hand. Thank you. Goddamn. I'm gonna crash out. Oh my god, I swear. Okay, the discharge. That's good. That means that he's going to tap out. We love that. We love that. And we're gonna try to kill him. Probably, what, Striders, Kindle, Kano, Rags. Do we Rags right now or do we not Rags right now? That's a great question. We don't. We debuff first. So my thinking was, right, if there's a red on top of the deck, we'd rather Rax right now, so we can potentially also play the red. Or also put the red on top with Deep Pot. However, you know, we're gonna probably opt into a red with KZHs, so it matters a bit less. Can you please pass priority? You have no card. You can't do anything. Just auto pass, please. We're just gonna Kano twice here, bench the lesson and the gaze. I maybe should have Crucible instead of Storm Striders, because if I... No. I'm kidding. Wouldn't have changed a thing. Because I still have to wait for Wildfire if I Crucible. I was thinking maybe I could play the lesson and then play the gaze in response. Maybe I could have done that some way. But I'm just gonna draw blue because I'm just a goat, you know. I'm just him. I'm just built like that. Obviously. Oh, I'm gonna need a breather from Talishar after this one. My opponent is taking way too long on his decisions. Like, no shade or anything, but there's literally nothing he can do right now. Like, why is he holding priority? Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna draw that blue because we're just that good. We're just that good. No, I didn't need to. So, oh my god. I accidentally clicked request undo. I'm just gonna throw out the sorry. Sorry. Didn't mean that. Thank you. Get the gaze. Draw into the blue because we're Himothy Himmelston. Himothy McHimmeth born son. That's who we are. Brother. Pass. Just pass priority. Just put on auto pass, please. Please. What are you thinking about? Are you there? Are you there? Let me just kill you, bro. Please just let me kill you. We don't have guaranteed. We don't have a kill lockdown or anything, but if we can find any extender, I think we're good. Brother, please. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is physically hurting me. Bro, please. What are you thinking about? What are you thinking on? Just let me play the game, bro. This is actual torture. This is like medieval torture methods. Can we get a kill if we don't find an extender? I don't think so. So, yeah. Because I don't think we can... I guess if we find 2 Blazing Aethers on top of our deck, then we just don't play the lesson. But there's a flood, so we're good. If we draw the Aether Arc in the red, yeah, we can play for meta. So this is for 7, our opponent stops 2, takes 5, and we go floods for 7, so that's 12 damage, then lesson for 8 is 20, plus blazing for 25 is more than 38. If our opponent would pass priority, we could do what we are setting out to do, which is skill up. So yeah, this is kind of how we approach the Aurora matchup. Usually we want 1-ish potion, 1 or 2 potions. Usually we kind of need an energy potion to win, but because of our opponent tapping out here, and us drawing a blue off Kindle, we didn't really need it. Yeah, what up, what up, what up? What's up? What are you gonna tell me? Come on. Shoot it. Tell me. Nope, nothing. Okay, sure. Cloak is gonna... And the one floating is gonna pay for the floods. Thatcher's being the worst right now. Oh. Now I feel bad. Now I'm the asshole. God damn it. Well, it's okay. I have more time to talk to anyone who is still watching the Kano guide. Because we're probably like 1.5 hours in right now. I mean, I've already recorded like a lot of the stuff. I actually don't know, but I think I've recorded like 14 or 15 parts. And this is the first of the gameplay you're seeing probably, so... Oh my god. He has like 700 ping right now probably. Jesus. Aurora. I'll just go through with a... Let's say they have balance here, right? Because we have drawn 2 cards here. They'd AB 1 extra on the Wildfire most of the time. Let's say they AB 2 because we're being generous right now. So our Wildfire would hit for 3. Floods would be for 5. That wouldn't actually be lethal, right? I don't think so. Damn. If it's 1, is it lethal? I think it's exactly lethal if they draw a red off the balance. Because then it's 4 into 6 into 7, which is 17 damage total. Then Blazing is 17 plus 4 is 21. So 21 and 17 is actually 38. And I think they were on 38 at the start of this turn. So I could cover it. I'll just claim victory. Because I had it there. Yeah, so I draw onto 2 blues. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's basically how I tackle the Aurora matchup. It's not great. It's usually... It is favored, I'd say. For Kano, if they're on AB3 spell for 2, if they're on AB3 spell for 3, it's probably around 50-50. Balance is usually the equivalent of having AB3 spell for 3, because the balance draw often comes before our Wildfire resolves because of Kindle and Rags. So that's usually the same ish, because often we're not leaving our opponent with AB3 in hand, so they can use the extra AB on Wildfire, so it's basically the same as having AB3 spell for 3, right? What would they've drawn? Yeah, so if they did have balance in this case, we still win. So yeah, that's basically it. Have fun with the rest of the video. Okay, so this is against Azalea. This is just typical aggro matchup, right? We bring in the main board. Spellfire Cloak. Hope they don't disrupt our arsenal too much, and see if we can get a win in a couple turns. from now, and I hope he doesn't disconnect because I've been trying to record aggro matches. Yes, let's go. No disconnection. We have AB2 Spell Void 2/3 if he has a thing in his thing. Let's see here. Sonic Boom. We can just Crucible Sonic Boom first because we want to play with the gauge, right? That's the goal here. I can probably arsenal the boom, depends on if we want the resources for it or not. I don't love arsenaling the boom, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. That is a Wildfire and a blue floodgate. Let's leave both of those on top. We can send the Wildfire, so our opponent has to probably gives us another card. We can arsenal the boom, and actually, depending on what our opponent does next turn, we might just blast them. Probably not, considering we have a red in hand. Let's hope our opponent doesn't present Lace with Inertia or Seek and Destroy or whatnot. They're probably shouldn't have sent the Flare, so we get to search for those exact cards less. Okay, let's see what he does. Come on, do it, Blind Azalea. Flip nothing, end your turn. Sends it for 7. I'm just going to block 3. I suspect a snaps here into actually probably no snaps, right? Because he can't really break bracers. So yeah. In general, I like the Kano after I played the Sonic Boom. Because if I see a non-potion on top, I can manage it with the boom, and if I see a potion on top, I can Kano into it. That's a lesson in lava. That's pretty good. So we can play the lesson 3 now. Volcano first to see if there's a potion on top, per chance. That's blue flare. We'll keep that in the deck just for blue density, I think. I'll send the lesson in lava. If it's probably going to deal damage. We're probably going to tutor for. What am I going to tutor for? Blazing Aether? Yeah. Then we're just going to pass. Then see what our opponent's going to do. This isn't a great hand for comboing, so ideally we don't have to. So I'm just gonna block 6. Then, with the leftover blue, see if we can find a potion. Or whatnot, because I'd like one here. Blue flare. We'll keep that on top just for a blue as a blue on the combo turn potentially. Another not so great combo hand, like really want like a high blue density here, unless our opponent like fully taps out. Maybe even then, if we draw a blue off of rags, we can't like comfortably play. For example, floodgates or something from the top, off the top. So I don't think we are going to do that. Our opponent's just sending a red and a leisure for Fuckdown here. I think we can just take this. That's actually. I'm gonna ask if I can undo that. I didn't think about the fact that red and leisure has an effect. I am probably gonna take this, and then I'm probably gonna Kano on their turn. So I can maybe send a potion. because I still haven't found one. So with Kano here, if it's a potion, there we go. Because of that, I'm probably just gonna Crucible Overflow. Actually, I'm probably just gonna send a Naked Less in here so I can get a Kindle potentially. Let's do that. That's probably better. Our opponent is very intent on not tapping out here, which is actually kind of benefiting us because it gives us a lot more time to set up, right? It's already turn 4. Normally, Azalea is going to present lethal on turn 3 or 4, typically, at least in my experience. However, because our opponent is playing it so safe and careful, we probably have at least 2 more turns until, god damn it, off. Until we actually need to go off here. This is a terrible hand, so I mean it's not terrible. If we have to go off here, it's not the worst thing in the world. However, I'd appreciate it if we didn't have to. Just gonna Azalea and play Red in the Ledger. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm just gonna probably no blocks and then send on my turn Crucible Overflow. From his arsenaling patterns over the last few turns, I've noticed that he does tend to arsenal a red. The only time he hadn't arsenaled a red was the Rain Razors that he arsenaled a couple turns ago. So even if he does keep a card in hand, it's nowhere near guaranteed to be a blue or even a yellow. So that's typically a good sign for us. Yeah, we'll just go to 30 here. We pass because we don't have anything to do with the resources. This is a good combo hand if we find something decent off the top. Because we have the E-Pot here, we can make up for a bad Kindle or Ragamuffins hat draw. Again, they arsenal red, so I am again expecting more reds to go into arsenal. Yeah. So they are presenting lethal here. I think if this is a Bolton shot, for example, or an amplifying arrow. This amplifying arrow would be for 5 plus 9 is 14 with dominate, so we can technically block it if we whiff. So we are going to just activate Kano. Twining kind of sucks. Thinking on that, I'll just let my opponent know. Yeah, we kind of wanted an extender there or something of the sort, because right now, if we just go like Wildfire for 7, they stop 3, so it would be 22 damage, which is not the greatest. If we just Wildfire Blazing Twining, we can just, I think, Kano again. A Potion of Deja Vu. Amazing. Exactly what I wanted. Yeah. I think we'll just play out the Potion of Deja Vu. And the Twining. And we're gonna have to block with the Blazing Aether here. Which does suck. Also, if he has Brain Razors there, we die, but nothing we can do about that. On our turn, we're going to play the Kindle and hope we can Crucible. We draw a blue so we can Crucible Wildfire. If we draw a yellow, we can. Clarity Potion. Is that worth 6 damage? Great fucking question. How much damage is Clarity Potion worth? I'd say probably more than 6 damage in this case. Is it? This is a very, very, very important decision, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna send the Wildfire. Because we already have the depot, we can fix our top deck potentially, and depot is extra resources. I don't know if this was the correct play, however, I am going to just do it because, you know. The card could also prove to be very valuable. Okay, see, if you just draw better, you're gonna win. Just draw better, lol. Okay, opponent. Probably just gonna play the Remorseless out with no buffs because we cannot block dominated damage and stay alive. So we are just gonna unleash our fury, so to say. Let's see here. What are we gonna do? Thinking. Yeah. We're gonna Striders. We're gonna immediately depot because we want to draw into blind. Cards here to find potentially other combo pieces or extenders to use with the Ragamuffin with that. Then we're just gonna send it. Our opponent doesn't use Quiver for some reason. We are still going to pay for meta here because otherwise they can stop it with the Quiver. Sure, now we're gonna Kano, put the Floodgate on top because it's an extender and guaranteeing extenders is cool and all that. Our opponent concedes. Let's see if we had the sauce here. Yeah, it's gonna tell me about the Quiver and stuff. I don't think we win here. Nah. We don't win here anyway. Kind of a shame that we drew such a frankly terrible combo hand on the turn we had to go off, however. Yeah, we just blinded into stuff we didn't want to see. You know, that happens. So, how do we beat the slow decks with a high prevention? There are two main strategies that I like to use, or that really exist. Basically, there's tempo and there's stacking. So, when you go for tempo, you side in the 1 for 4 and the 2 for 5 arcane damage cards, you side out some of your extenders, you play Ragamuffin's Head, Tunic, Metacarp Stones, and Striders, and Waning Moon, and you basically try to strip 1 or 2 cards from your opponent's hand on your own turn every turn by sending a 1 for 4 plus Waning Moon, or play Potion plus Waning Moon, or Kano into something and activate Waning Moon. Basically, you're just trying to deal as much damage on your own turn as possible, so your opponent has to commit their blues on your turn, which means they either can't attack you on their turn, or if they do attack you, they have to tap out, and you have the opportunity to kill them with a combo. Ideally, you want to set up 3+ potions, and a perfect combo hand, so something with Wildfire, Blazing, Kindle, Will of Arcana, and another blue, for example, and we have Clarity Potions to fix our Kano activations. If we suspect our opponent is either sitting on Oasis Respite or Seeds of Tomorrow or something of the sort, we can go for a double Wildfire, which means play one Wildfire with Striders and then another with either Deja Vu Potion or Ragwolf's Hat, and go over the top that way, because usually our opponents can't hold onto 2 Oasis if we're also pressuring on our turn. And if our opponent is on either a high Spell Void or something like Amethyst Tiara, we can go for a double combo, which means sending the first Wildfire we see with Deja Vu Potion or with Ragwolf's Hat to bait out the Spell Void or the Tiara. And then with our second Wildfire, we can actually go for the kill when our opponent doesn't have access to that high amount of damage prevention on board anymore. Now, I prefer the strategy tempo to stacking, because stacking, while it is a very good strategy, it was a very good strategy in the past. Right now, what can happen is if our opponent mega techs for Kano, right? If they just go full fatigue, AB4, play Oasis, Steadfast, whatever they want, they can usually get around our mega stacks, which in the past they weren't really able to. However, it is still a good strategy. Basically, what you do with stacking is you pitch stack a God combo, so you go for a double Wildfire into extenders into double Blazing, for example, and just block a lot until you get to your stack, and then just dome your opponent for 200 or something. So in the gameplay coming up, you'll see me using tempo primarily. So let's just go to the gameplay. Okay, so we're here against Verdance. This is typically a pretty... Hey, it's man. Oh, we can run Scour for the potential of finding that one card. Well, we do want to run these. Probably get rid of one of these. And the Twinings. We run the Temple package into Verdance. This is one of those high prevention slow decks that I was talking about. We'll see how it goes. Typically, I like to play tempo into these types of decks because it leaves them less room to, actually pressure us and stuff like that. Verdance is one of our hardest slow matchups, but it should still be very favored. So I bring in the Scours for Ring of Roses, and that's it. He's on just AB3 and Plume. That is interesting. Okay. Verdance typically is on Seize It Tomorrow, which is why I do count it as one of those like high prevention. Yeah, we'll send that type of matchups. We can send the Wildfire and Waning Moon and then just strip 2 cards and whatever. No. It's fine. I'm not gonna kill you. No. He says. It's okay. I guess if he takes 4, he could like threaten me or something, but... Ah! I see. Sure. So we deal 2 damage, that's pretty solid, and we force him to get a random arsenal, which can be good. In this case it is, clearly. We are just gonna take this time to not pitch our E-Pod away. Actually play out the Swells and the Waning Moon, force 2 cards, or he takes a bit of damage. And we can then next turn develop out the E-Pod, I think. Yeah, the Swell probably takes priority here because we can either do some stuff on his turn, or we can just go back to our turn and whatever. In this case, I think I'm going to opt to block 6, keep the Sonic Boom in deck. Then next turn we could just E-Pot Winning Moon, and then turn after we can probably E-Pot Winning Moon. And then we'll see how it goes. No Seeds of Tomorrow in graveyard yet. Opponent just takes 2. That's probably indicative of a pretty red-heavy hand. We are going to hold on to this Wildfire in hand probably, or Arsenal it. We'll see. Yeah. So that. The reason I typically don't want to Arsenal the Wildfire necessarily is because of Plow Under, which is now active, which they can use to clear my Arsenal. And that kind of sucks if it's a combo card, especially since I've already seen a Wildfire. So I kind of only want to put the Wildfire there if I'm actually already ready to combo, which I will be in a couple turns because I already have the 2 E-Pods set up, and I'm gonna be playing the Clarity Potion right now. Our opponent takes the 2 again. Or, I'm gonna play the Clarity Potion next turn, I mean. Sorry. We're just gonna take this one, because there's no reason not to. If he plays a search effect after, we can always prevent the search effect. So tomorrow is actually pretty good for us in this case, because it means he can't decompose anymore, unless he discards Fruits of the Forest or something. So, but in this case, it seems he is attacking with it, so we're just gonna block. Take another 3. On our turn, we're gonna send a Clarity Potion Waning Moon, Arsenal the Swell Tidings, and then the turn after, we're probably just gonna send Swell plus Moon, Arsenal the Wildfire, and then go for combo the turn after, because we are currently in a pretty good position if we send the Swell Waning Moon next turn, because we grab tempo, probably force 1 or 2 cards. Our opponent doesn't really have a lot of room to work with in that situation. Yeah, we're just gonna block 3 again, keep the Photon Splicing in the deck because it is marginally better than the Ace Awakening. I wonder what my opponent has in hand and not discard the fruits there. Maybe he's holding onto a Felling until I arsenal my combo piece, or until he's relatively sure I've arsenal my combo piece. Or the Plow, I mean. Though I am probably just gonna go for combo on the next turn. It kind of depends on what my opponent has and is going to do. Seeds of Tomorrow is pretty likely here. Our opponent's clearly just gonna arsenal a card here. Yeah, we do have to worry for Seeds, however we always have Waning Moon. There it is. Actually kinda good for us right now, low key. Because this means that they can seize our Wildfire next turn. So we are actually in a prime position to combo here. Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to find combo with. Considering our opponent doesn't have an opportunity to seize here, I think we're just gonna go forward here. Kindle and Swell, that's awkward. I guess we're not gonna go for it here. Just don't banish the swell. Yeah. We're not gonna go for it here. Reason being, we can do this and then swell plus moon to still take a couple cards. What do you mean no? It's not that bad. Maybe all reds. That'd be pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Okay. 3 is fine. Surgeon is fine. We'll take it. For clarity here, I'm not overly scared of Sita tomorrow currently. Because we have Waning Moon to soak up a bit of that damage. We'll banish one of these overflows. How are we doing this? This is probably already enough to kill. However, where's my no problem? There it is. If we like blind it to a brick, that could be pretty bad. I mean, you know, chances are he has red in hand, so he can tunic plus pitch and the floating to get rampant growth and then go for Sheeta tomorrow. It's just gonna take it. That's pretty cool. It's gonna take 6. That's crazy. You sure about that, man? I don't think so. I don't think you kill from 16, my brother. I think that's a bit too much to ask for. Sure. Pulsing into life here is 14. Because it's +6 from Wildfire, +4 from Aether Tide. 15 if he pays for Metacarpus. I think we can just take that. Because we have our opponent dead on board. So Um, yeah, I can use Waning Moon to soak up 3 of the siege prevention. So he only stops 3 for my Wildfire for 6, which means it deals 3, and I don't have bricks on top. I don't think I need the overflow to even hit there. So yeah, pretty cool matchup still. I mean, the dynamics with Surgeon and stuff. Like, if I was, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty cool matchup. I think it's really favored for Kano. So there's that. But this is good to show. Okay, please, for the love of God, just stay with me. I really just want to play into Florian. Thank you. Bring in the entire sideboard. I'm testing out Edict. I don't know if it's good, but perfect, perfect. This is the exact loadout I want to play against because this is the loadout that a lot of people are struggling with, as far as I can tell, and I really want to see showcase exactly why this matchup is actually very favored for Kano. Let's hope I get to do that today. We already have one very important piece, which is the Deja Vu potion, so that's already good. Yeah, do your thing, man. Kano here just to see if we can do some stuff. We can do some stuff. That's cool. We'll keep the lesson in hand because I'm probably gonna want to arsenal that. This is just threatening 8. Very cleanly. Cool, cool, cool. We draw into a pretty terrible hand. I'm probably gonna depot and then moving like this, arsenal the Kindle. The reason I move like that is that because I just don't want the Blazing Aether in my hand right now, and the Kindle goes in arsenal because I can use it to threaten more damage on my first combo. The second combo usually doesn't need a Wildfire for more than 5, but to threaten the Tiara, especially because I have to use depot, right, so I have less resources, I do usually want to use a Kindle so I can push the damage ceiling a bit higher. Galaxia's probably getting Rumbla Barrier if I had to guess. Yeah. That's okay right now, because I mean, I'm not really planning on playing into Tiara this turn anyway, so that's entirely fine with me. I am just gonna E-Pot and then Waning Moon. Keep the Quickening in hand so I can potentially threaten a bit of tempo next turn. Maybe grab a bit of tempo next turn. And hopefully draw into Wildfire soon so I can go for my first combo. Or I can threaten my first combo rather. So because of my setup right now, I can use the D-Pot and the E-Pot if I have to and threaten a normal combo without actually using any of my equipment, which is pretty good. Yeah, that's great. Let's see what we're going to be dealing with. A felling. Okay, that's... He can decomp, right? Yeah, he can. I can't kill here, right? No, I can't. That's a shame. We're just gonna take all these wound chance. And then we're gonna take the felling damage. So we don't really have a choice. Sure. On the bottom... Actually, we don't need to take the felling damage. We can block 3, set up the clarity pot, potentially combo next turn. And just kill them because they don't have any rune chance right now. Edict off. Edict. Why did I put you in this deck? Oh, Edict. Edict. Edict, edict, edict. Why do you exist? Again, I forgot. I could just fucking go for it anyway. I have quite a bit of opt here. My opponent has AB3. I'd rather not. I can just do Edict Waning Moon here. I mean, if the Edict was a Kindle, I definitely go for it there. There's because then I'm threatening Wildfire for 7. They can only prevent 3, and then their AB is useless against my surge effects. Here I can probably... Sure, that's fine. Felling is interesting. First of all, take your rune chance. Second of all, I think I'm probably gonna kill you. Do I Rax Blessing here? I do. So our opponent is completely tapped out here. We have complete free reign over what we want to do. So we're just gonna Rax this Splicing to the bottom. And then we're gonna Kano, and in response to the Kano, we're gonna Kindle because there's a Deepa on top right now. We Kano the Gaze. We're gonna play the Gaze. And see 2 garbage cards. Thank you. Probably gonna do like this, so we have the opt for the prognosticate. And we'll just pay for the metacarpus. So it's for 6. We'll prog first to see if we... Wildfire would be force 10, which would mean 16 wildfire damage, which is lethal, yeah. That's cool. I'm taking out this garbage card. Trash. Utter trash. I never want to see your face again. God. Why did I even... Okay. So now you see why this matchup is reasonable for Kano to maybe even really good. Thing is, If they don't tap out, we have basically infinite time to set up, right? If they do tap out, they just tapped out against the Kano, so we can easily kill them from 30 plus life, right? That's really the dilemma they're at, which is why, yeah, this deck is just really strong right now, especially into these types of decks, to Florian or something like that. Okay, so the last category that I really want to talk about is the decks with high spell void and low arcane barrier. I'm going to put assassins into this category as well, because when they use their spell void, they also lose their arcane barrier, so the result is kind of the same. Basically, what we're trying to do in these decks is perform a double combo, which means we combo once without committing Striders, and then we combo again on the later turn with Striders. So the goal of this is for our opponent to use their spell void on the first combo. So basically what we do is we send one Wildfire, and then they have to use their spell void on that Wildfire to not die. And then on a later turn, we can use a second Wildfire, which they then cannot prevent because they don't have any more spell void and they were running low arcane barrier, and kill them that way. So specifically against assassins, this is a very effective strategy because, for example, Marionette runs AB3 spell void 3 usually, but if they correct their spell void, they also lose their arcane barrier. So what we can do is, if we combo very early on in the game, all of our surge effects will then trigger automatically if they have no arcane barrier left. So our deck actually becomes full of good cards instead of what it is right now, which is all bad cards except on the combo turn. And I'll just get into some gameplay of how we actually beat these kind of decks. Okay, so we're against the Marionette here. I will just run the main board and Crucible and Spellfire Cloak. This is a pretty good matchup to get into the video because I think this is one a lot of people struggle with, especially if they're on AB3 Spellvoid 3. So let's hope I do pretty well and we can actually get a win. Into Assassins. He's just thinking on a sideboard here. Yeah, my sideboard choices. I mean, some people run the big spell package into Assassins as well. Specifically Fahad, a very good Kano player. Yeah, so we have AB3 spell for 3. So our goal here is to just find Wildfire as soon as possible and send it. So that our opponent doesn't have any more Arcane Barrier or Spell Void. Or they don't use their Spell Void and they die. Right, that's basically the goal. We'll banish that as well to get close to Wildfire, then we'll just pass, put that into our arsenal, and then this hand, not very great, however we can just no blocks this, take a couple points of damage. We don't have a lot of reds in our deck, so let's hope he doesn't banish Wildfire. That is a red, but it's not that bad, so that's alright. See what comes next. Probably a Hunter's Clave, yeah. Let's take that. I'm looking to block with Overflow here so we can use our blues to go for some Kano stuff. Or we just block 9 on... Well, actually we'll just block 3 on the Art of Desire. Bro, what the fuck? That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I mean, that's alright. Yeah, that's, yeah, fair enough. Kindle. Let's see here. Kindle kind of sucks. I think we'll just Crucible Aether Arc. Actually, I think we'll just Crucible Aether Arc. Do we play the Kindle? I think we do. I really, I mean, that's fine. Not gonna play second Kindle, but I really need to find Wildfire like this turn. Ideally, so there it is. So this hand is not great for comboing. However, we are still going to do that because that would leave our opponent with AB 0. I'm just gonna do a quick little think about if we want to crack Striders here, and I think I am going to. Am I? So if I Kano pitching this, I have 2 floating rags. If it's a blue, I can put it on top. The Kano resolves, banish that. Kano again, banish the Wildfire. Draw one of the blues from Kindle. 2 floating. I'm not gonna. I don't think I can play the F1 floating. Kano banishes that. So 4 resources, 7 if I include the Kindle, 9 if we include that. We need 4 for Wildfire. Another 4. We can't really buff Wildfire right now. That does suck. If I Kano, just thinking, this isn't great. I'll fire into Kindle, draws a blue. Yeah, we're kinda too short. I'm thinking, please do not claim victory. What we can do is just not go for the blazing. So let's just not go for the blazing. So it'd be for 6 right now. We can pump it to 7 with meta. I think we will do that. Just why not? So red, so Wildfire deals 2. Assuming they do their stuff. Which, I mean, they might not, so. But they are. Okay, so this deals 5. The next one deals 5. Then we can get the lesson. However, before our lesson resolves, we will take the leave no witnesses because it banishes the top of our deck. Now we want to tutor. Let's see what we want to tutor. I think it's just a Wildfire, right, to put into Arsenal next turn. So we pass, we draw up to 4, just block 9 here, and let's see what they're gonna do. Block 9 and Arsenal the Wildfire is my game plan right now, and hope I draw into some blues next turn, so we can potentially just get in for a bit of damage. So they have to flick here. Yeah, this doesn't have go again right now. So what I'm going to do is block for 9. because I don't want any of these cards, and it's not going to get go again if I get marked, right? Because the clause says that when it attacks a marked hero, it gets go again. And I flip in a trapdoor. That's great. That's amazing. Now I just arsenal this Wildfire, and that's a couple of blues, so we can, yeah, probably just do some saucy stuff with that. Persuasive. Let's Kano first. See what we're dealing with. Floods. This is, yeah, easy. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how I approach this matchup. It's just a lot of, really the double combos what shines in this type of matchup. Sometimes you do just get the natty Wildfire OTK over AB3 spell for 2, right? But yeah, most of the time, just two Wildfire combos does the job, and they don't really do enough damage to pressure you to where you can't go for your double Wildfire combo, basically. Alright, starting a bit late into Slippy, accidentally stopped the recording. It's still turn 1, this is their first action, so I accidentally let them go first. They are an AB3 spell for 3, so that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna take this one. Yeah, I don't care. We do kind of, is that good? It does mean we can probably combo 2 turns in a row, which is good. I'll Crucible away the Blazing, and I'll Arsenal. Sure. So the reason we did that is I want to combo 2 turns in a row here. Not necessarily 2 turns in a row, but I want to combo with this Wildfire, and then I force him to use his Spell Void, and then I combo with the second Wildfire like next turn or the turn after, because he doesn't have any more stuff if I do that. Right, let's get a blue. I didn't mean a blue. I meant a red. God damn it. Now I'm gonna draw into my reds. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Spinneret. Let's see. Infect. 46. We are just gonna take that. Kano. Yep. Volcano. Sure. We will not pay for meta. Yeah, just force out the stuff here. I probably shouldn't have Kano there to threaten better lethal. However, now I do just kind of get to run wild, you know? I'll just take this damage. I'm probably just gonna block 6 on the next thing, play out the E-pot next turn, try to go for the second combo. If I for some reason don't get the chance to block, I'll probably just Crucible Floodgates, which is then a guaranteed to hit because of him having no AB. Yeah, I'll just block 3. If he goes over, I'll just block 6. E-pop pass. Let's hope he draws some blues. Those are not a lot of blues. I'll E-pop pass again. Mark of the Black Widow. I'll block that. I have one more turn, I think. I might be making a big mistake here. Probably not. He does spike me. That does suck. Because I go to 4. I'll just banish the Wildfire here. See what he's gonna do. Funnel Web. It's gonna take a 3 block. I'm gonna just keep the case in hand. It's a blue. No, I don't. No, I don't. Thank you. So now we get to go for combo this turn. CNC. That is interesting. That means I don't have to go for combo this turn. Oh, he's not gonna play it. Okay. Let's see what he's gonna do. Yeah, you can give me the Blah Rod. I don't care. I'm just gonna Kano here. If it's something good, like that, yeah, GG. GG. If it wasn't something good, I can just block 6 and keep a blue for the Blood Rot, so that's still okay, right? And then just draw 4, draw into some stuff. Yeah, so the double combo is really effective because even if I don't get to combo the second time here, if I have enough room, I can just threaten like a bunch of really good, really strong search effects like floodgates and overflow and stuff. Especially if I still have Metacarpus, right? Because then I can just for one turn push through all of my search effects guaranteed. So yeah, that also gets very strong really very quickly. So and also the first hand, right? If I draw a bit of a better hand, I can just kill through their AB3 Spell Void 1 or AB1 Spell Void 3. So that's really how you approach this type of matchup. Alright, that's it. I hope you learned something. I hope everyone learned something. If there's something else that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to read through them and see if there's anything good that I can use there. I am definitely gonna make a deck tech and some gameplay on a more tempo-oriented deck because that's what I'm focusing on in my personal testing right now. So I'm looking forward to making that a video because I think after Aurora, Living Legends, the more tempo-based deck is probably going to be pretty viable. And a reminder, just a quick reminder to subscribe and like and whatever you do on YouTube because I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to support me directly, you can do so on Ko-fi. I have a link in the description, and you can leave a donation for whatever amount you want. Yeah, that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you're still watching, which you're probably not because this video is probably like multiple hours long, but thank you anyway. Yeah, amazing that everyone wants to listen to me. So thank you. Okay, so here we are against Florian. This is typically a matchup I like to bring the tempo package into, so let's do that. And I'll also bring in Imperial Edict and Scours, since I'm just testing those right now. I take out every floodgates except the blue ones. Take out one Kindle, and let's take out just two blues here. Let's take out the Twinings. I also take out the yellow overflows. Okay, so they're just on AB3. So that means that this is probably a bit of an easier match. So I'll probably show another one after this, where they're on also on the Scepter build with AB3 and the Tiara. However, this is still probably pretty good to show, since you know there are a lot of Florians on this type of build still. Yeah, he discarded. That's just he didn't gain life because of Reaping Blade, but I imagine it's just so he can decompose a bit faster. Here we just E-Pot, Waning Moon. I'll probably put the Kindle in Arsenal since I am looking to combo pretty early since he's just on AB3. I don't think it's very risky to combo early because of that. So let's just put that in Arsenal. If we can, you know, just block with the Overflow probably on our turn, play Deja Vu Potion and Waning Moon. Then the turn after we can take up our tuning to 3 and probably find a lethal on that turn. Okay, here we see a Cadaver Stilling. We'll just take all the rune spans. So we'll block 3, even if he has like a random pummel here or something, we can just discard the floodgates and still play out our Deja Vu Potion. So let's just do that. Opponent takes 2, so okay, see. This is already a hand where we can potentially combo if he decides to tap out, for example. Swarming, we'll just take the Swarming here because he can potentially still have a Seize of Tomorrow, which we don't really want to play into. So let's see. Yeah, okay, so we definitely just have a lethal here, right? We can just Kano like this, and then Deja Vu Potion, put this on top, Kano, banishes Listen, and Wildfire. Then we can Wildfire, pay for Meta Carpet, draw off Kindle. So this deals 6, you can only prevent 1. Let's see if he is going to prevent the 1. Yep, okay. Now we can pay for meta here as well. Doesn't really matter. We'll get Blazing. And we'll use the E-Pot to pay for Waning Moon. And this should be lethal. Yep. Okay, GG. So that is how we handle decks that are slower but have only AB3, for example. We can just very quickly get ahead of the game and just steamroll them, basically. Alright, here we have gameplay into Maxx. This is probably just gonna be the main board. I don't see any reason to really run tempo into Maxx. I've heard that this matchup is actually surprisingly not that good for Kano because of Maxx being able to have like 7,000 resources on the board. Means it's very hard to pull through your surge effects. However, he does only have AB3. No, we don't see a spell void or anything. So let's just send the flare so we can play out the gaze. That's pretty good. Buffer jacket. This card's so cool. We're gonna bottom both. So did it? Oh, whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's alright. Goddamn. That's a hand and a half. That's a hand. That is a hand. What am I gonna do with this? No blocks, first of all. We probably... Nah, whatever. He can have it. I don't care. Okay. I guess we're gonna kill him. Yeah. We're just gonna take everything you got here and then send a Wildfire for 9 or something, and then... You know, all that jazz. He does a lot of damage, goddamn. We're just gonna crack Clarity here. 2 overflows. Yeah, sure, Volcano into the first. We will, Strider, Crucible for the Wildfire, then Kindle. Pay for Metacarpus, another Kindle. Sure. This is 9. Opponent takes 8. We're gonna overflow here, not pay for Metacarpus. I'm probably gonna Rags this Floodgate to the top. Yeah, that's probably better. That sucks. Yeah, sure. If you put the, I guess we do probably want to put the overflow on top. Yeah, because Floodgates is at best +1 resource. But if we keep it in hand, right? It's +1. So overflow is -1 resource always, and Floodgates is +1. However, Floodgates isn't guaranteed +1, and if we keep the Floodgates and then put overflow on top, that's also 1 extra resource we get to pitch. So in that situation, overflow is basically neutral compared to the Floodgates, and Floodgates is sometimes +1 if we get lucky. I don't know if that explanation makes sense, but I swear, it was definitely better to lay out the other thing. The Flood. No, the overflow. I mean, what we didn't do. Also because it would have ended up canoing into another Floodgates. We'll send this as well, get their last card, and then kill them on their turn. Sure. Now if we just don't draw into absolute dog shit, we got there. Yep. Sure. Yeah. We did draw pretty hot there, but this is a pretty good showcase of a aggro matchup. He wasn't on the spell void 2 though, so could have been a lot worse. However, if we play correctly, we also draw a lot better. So there's that. Okay, the mirror is actually a pretty interesting matchup, so let's see if we can get some mirror action going. I don't know if running the scour is actually good, but we'll see. Yeah, considering we have to take out the Kindles. Just put in yellow overflow. Maybe one Kindle? Nah, we'll keep it like this. Kindle is not very good in the mirror. Our opponent chose to go first, which probably means they're not that experienced into the mirror, because we definitely do want to go second here. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to put this into the beginner's guide, because a mirror is always, there's always something to learn there. Our hand's pretty good. We can send 1 for 4 on our turn. And probably Arsenal the overflow if I'd have to choose one right now. Obviously it depends on what he does and what we draw and stuff. If he sends the spindle, we can just AB4 pitching these two cards. Probably these two cards. Probably these two cards actually. Let's do that. And then if he sends Waning Moon and the other card, we can just pitch the blue and keep the splicing in hand. Yep, let's do that. Sure. Let's do it like that. We can cycle the potion through Arsenal. We'll not bench that. Having the blue in hand on the next turn is pretty important, and we're not looking to combo very early, so it's fine to keep that on top of the deck. Our opponent pitched a yellow there, which is good for us, because that's obviously more damage for us. That probably means that he doesn't have a lot of blues in hand, and we do. Let's go. It's probably not that great here. I mean, seeing a lot of blues now, it means we're seeing a lot of reds later, so. And later is when you want the blues, you know. However, it's probably not that bad. We can maybe try to fish for a red off the top of the deck. Clarity Potion is alright in this matchup. It's not the greatest, but I don't mind playing it out, obviously. It's better than not having a Clarity Potion. Yeah, our opponent here doesn't really... we'll pay 3. And the Snapback... I don't know if we're gonna... Yeah, we'll just pay into that as well. We're probably just gonna play Clarity Potion, then Waning Moon Pass. That's fine. Put the Depot in Arsenal. Our opponent seemingly doesn't mind tapping out. Oh, that's crazy. No way that's correct. So typically, playing like this is not advised in general, because like what our opponent is doing right now is pretty cool and all, but he does give up like a lot of tempo doing this, right? Because now, like, what's he gonna do in his turn? Probably nothing. Maybe play out a potion, but he does open himself up to a lot of nasty stuff here. Like, for example, I think I'm just gonna Clarity here. If I deal 6 into double blazing, that's lethal. I could probably get there, honestly. Yeah, not if I see shit. I'll keep one on top. I'm just gonna go for it, because I mean this is definitely not a good idea. However, I don't care, so. Gaze is a good hit. Let's see. Yeah, swell is enough. And our opponent has nothing here, so. That's why tapping out in the mirrors, that generally just not a good idea. I wish Was hoping for a bit of a more interesting mirror game, but you know, a win is a win. Okay, we're a bit late here, but we're going against Aurora with, let's see, AB2 spell with 1, so we're just gonna Kano here, see if we can find a Wildfire early on. Gonna put the Kindle in Arsenal, play out the E-Pot, we see another Kindle that kinda sucks. It's alright, we'll just put the Kindle in Arsenal. And we'll see what we do with the other Kindle. Just gonna take this. I could. I kinda wanna be able to play this out, so you know. What if I just block 6, right? Can he get over 6? Usually I say yeah. I could just block it, right? It's whatever. We'll just bench the Kindle here. So he gets 2 life, but that's alright with me. I get to play out the D-Pot. And I'm pretty happy in this situation. Because our opponent only has AB2, we can get the lesson to search Wildfire. So this is a guaranteed Wildfire for our next turn. Am I gonna keep the gaze if I am allowed to? Yes. We'll just block this for 6, and if he does something, I can just hit him in response so he doesn't get to take my cards. He's not gonna do anything, that's pretty good. Eradicate, I don't think I care about Eradicate. Unless it banishes 3 Wildfires from the top, so let's hope it doesn't. It didn't, so we're good. How is he at 3 silver? What? Oh, yeah, Surgical's contract was also active, of course. I am a smart man. So we get Wildfire here, no question about it. Oh, we're probably just gonna go off here, why not? We're just gonna pop it in response to the bonds on hit, except if he masks. If he masks, we're of course gonna do it in response to the mask. Tunic for a rousing wave. Play out the Fang Strike. We can tentatively save Striders, so we are going to do that. Saving Striders is pretty good here because if our opponent uses their Spell Void, we can our second Wildfire will obviously deal more damage, right? So we are just gonna do that. We're gonna take the 10 here. In response to the Onyx, we're gonna, you know, do our stuff. Because now we can, like, play Cheeky Siren Skull or something. That's fine, I don't have a blue on top right now, so. I mean, he'd have to do that in response to Rags. If he does that in response to Rags, doesn't matter a whole lot because I still have the blue behind it, but I do lose 1 amp. However, he loses AB2, so that's definitely just good for me, I'd imagine. He doesn't crack his spell void, that is interesting. If we pay for meta, it's gonna deal 11, so that's probably worth it because then any spell kills from hand, right? So yeah. So yeah, this wasn't a very instructive game, really. We just kind of destroyed him, but you know, this is what happens if your opponent disrespects Kano. They definitely can and they definitely will, especially if you're not like a well-known Kano player at your locals. But if you are, some people still choose to disrespect you because they know the matchup is so bad that it doesn't matter. Right. There are definitely matchups where that is the case. Especially in this case, let's say he has the AB2 here. Right, or the spell v2, right? Because of our choice to save Striders, we can choose not to use Striders in the situation where we draw the Floods and the Gaze. Or we can, depends on what we want to do. But we can probably just Kano and see the Gaze and then opt into double overflow and then play those and then just do a bunch of damage. But we don't have to actually commit Striders, and then we can just commit, when we find the second Wildfire, we can use Striders for that, and that's basically how you win the matchup, right? That's I'm gonna show a Mario game either before or after this where I do that exact strategy and it works to perfection. So yeah, that's basically the game plan here. Right, so this is a Prism. This is a fucking terrible matchup for us. You would just run around Waning Moons to the Crucible and then just my main board and just try to kill them as fast as possible. We get to go first, so that's good. We can just Kano here, see if we can get like a potion or something. Less than the lava is good because that can tutor our Wildfire. There's already a Wildfire on top. Does that change anything? Probably not. I think we just want to banish this to lower the chance that we get another Wildfire next turn, and then just get a Wildfire with the Legend in Lava because we're putting the Sonic Boom in Arsenal. We don't really have a use to get. Probably misplayed here. I probably should have kept the Wildfire on top and tutored for No, because that would have shuffled the Wildfire back. Yeah. So we're just getting a Wildfire here. Banishing the Wildfire lowers the chances of us drawing into another one, and we don't really want to draw into double Wildfire here because that would be pretty bad. Okay, so this is a decent hand for combo. And Herald of Erudition, yeah, we're just gonna pop it in response, I think. No reason not to, I think. Let's see here. What is like the best way to handle this? I guess Kanoing first, because we don't really have an easy way to get Wildfire on top of the Ragamuffin's head, right? So yeah, we'll just Kano. Hit another Sonic Boom because we're just that good. So now we can Striders and actually we probably want to do this because we're not entirely sure if we want to do Strider Sonic Boom or just this Sonic Boom first, right? We don't know if you have the resources yet. That's why I'm doing it like this. And then we can just, in response, Kano, and then also this plays around Halo getting Figment of Judgment. Now we can just Kano Rags. Hopefully draw blue. Thank you. Put this on top. Kano resolves, banish the Wildfire. Now just immediately play the Wildfire and pay for Metacarpus, and then we can, if they want to throw by Haloing for a Figment and flipping that Figment, we have enough resources to pay for Waning Moon. so we can do that as well. Let's see what he's gonna do here. What is he thinking about? Come on. No problem. He should just pass priority here. However, if he doesn't do that, we can sneak in a win here. So this is our ideal scenario against a Prism. Basically, against Prism, you just want to kill them as fast as possible. Thinking about it, do we want to pay for meta? Probably, right. If we don't pay for Metacarpus node, we can potentially do... Let me just think about that. So the problem with not paying for Metacarpus node is if they decide to pop their Rapture, which they probably should do, our Wildfire gets completely stopped. However, if we don't pay for Metacarpus node and they don't use their Rapture, our Wildfire still hits for 1. But we can also play the Sonic Boom that's in our arsenal right now, right? So that does seem kind of tempting. If we don't pay for Metacarpus, what we can do is, if they Rapture, we can Waning Moon. And that means they still don't get to stop our Wildfire entirely. If they don't Rapture, right, we get to play the Sonic Boom, which is probably pretty good. No, I think we're just playing for Metacarpus here. Yeah. Because they can... It's pretty risky. Okay, let's say they pop Rapture and then we Waning Moon. Then they can pop Halo to get Figment, right? And then flip the Figment, and then we have no way of destroying that Figment. Or destroying the Angel. So that's why I just pay for Metacarpus here, to play around that line. So now we're just hoping for Sonic Boom to hit either Overflow or Open the Floodgates. So yeah. He decides not to pop Rapture, which is fine. That's good for us. We're not paying for meta on the Sonic Boom because we want those resources potentially. And that's a destructive Aethertide, so that's GG. We lose. There's no way we get back from this, I think. So this is just 2 damage because he can AB1, then we just Spellfire for Waning Moon, and we probably don't Spellfire, right? Because our Con is locking into another Wildfire, and we kind of want to... Yeah, let's not do that. So the Spellfire here is only 3 damage. Our Con right now is our opponent, for some reason... I don't really know what our Con is. Probably our opponent not flipping on his turn, and then not flipping on our turn. And then we draw into 4 blues, and then we blind into Wildfire, and then we just do the entire circus again. That's probably our Con. So it's not looking too hot right now. But you never know, right? Yeah, I mean... If they play this correctly, I'm probably just gonna concede, because, I mean, I might as well play it out, right? It's for the video. We can play it out. It shouldn't take too long. Yeah, they're flipping right now. Sure enough, that's what we expected, right? And we just have to pass here. Now we pass on our turn and hope they don't flip again. They probably should flip on our turn here because it protects them even. It insulates them from my combo even more. However, they don't. That's pretty cool. Thank you. Best case scenario for us is they attack with Aegis out the gate here, because that means that we can just stop their entire turn. This shit does not have go again right now. That is interesting. You can sort of give it a go again. What does this card say again? Yeah, so if he pays 4, well, I mean, I don't think we're blocking this. Just take it. He can probably pay for Prism in the... He's not. Okay, that's crazy. That's cool. I mean, that's pretty lucky, but, you know. Gotta win somehow, right? So yeah, now he's just gonna flip. Shit, and pass priority probably. So when he passes, I think we are going to Kano, because we would like to maybe clear something here. Deja Vu Potion is a pretty good hit. So we can just play that and then a Waning Moon for 3. So Waning Moon here probably gets an Angel. Yep, sure. Now on our turn we can E-Pot and then Waning Moon, which should get a card and the Spectral Shield, if I am not mistaken. If it doesn't, it'll get the Aegis, which is even better for us. Yeah, okay, that's what I expected. Okay. So we'll just take this as well. No reason not to. Like, we can't really reasonably block it out if we want to do some stuff on our own turn, so we're just not gonna bother. We've basically already lost for this position. I mean, our opponent has to misplay pretty hard for us to stand a chance at winning. However, you never know, right? They might just self-destruct really hard. You never know. Yeah, we'll just take the arcane damage from Figment of Ravages. Ideally, they just attack for 6. Well, ideally, they attack with one of their angels, and we can pop it in response. Yeah. That kind of sucks. We really want this to be for 6, so we could have blocked with 2 cards and then send Lesson Waning Moon on our turn. However, now that this is the case, I think we'll still just block for 6. And hopefully, oh no, our opponent disconnects or something, so we get the win. That would be pretty cool. Thinking at this position, like the best case scenario, the only way to win here is if our opponent has a medical emergency. So yeah. Let's see here. Our Lesson should get an angel, and then Waning Moon should get a card and Spectral Shield. Cool. So let's just pray to God that they attack with Aegis next turn. Please, 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 please. So we can pop it in response and then kind of get back into the game. Maybe get back into the game. If this gets oh no. Yeah, we basically lost this, because like if they just attack with Herald next turn, right? What are we gonna do? We can't, like, we just have to give 2 cards and die. Unless they attack with Aegis and we pop it in response. Yeah, this is not happening. So we have to give 2 cards here. If our opponent is generous, they just pass though. And they do? Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay. Now we can overflow a Waning Moon in response, because then our Waning Moon eats the Angel and we do 1 more damage. So that's, a bit more efficient. Now we can actually potentially win if we blind into Wildfire next turn. We draw like 4 blues and then blind into Wildfire. We're pretty gaming. Unless they flip right now. That would suck. Shit. Was I supposed to just send the overflow? I think I was supposed to just send the overflow. Might have misplayed here. That sucks. Yeah. Well, this hand doesn't do shit anyway, so it's fine. Block 6. And they obviously just pass priority here, because they're good people. Right? Okay, they attack with Soraya. That's actually pretty gamer. Because we can now kill Soraya in response. Which means we have 1 less soul to worry about. Okay, so now Soraya is dead. We can Waning Moon for 3 more damage. Okay, so now next turn we still have the opportunity of blinding into Wildfire to get the win. We're still not entirely out of it yet. Even if our opponent flips on our turn, because they don't have another Figment and another Soul, right? So now we're at a crossroads. We can either block 6 here and hope that their next thing is for 6, or we can Kano and hope we hit the natty Wildfire off the top. And I think the best case scenario, our highest chance of winning here, is to just natty into the Wildfire, because what we can do with Deja Vu Potion and stuff is kind of good. So yeah. Yep. So if we hit a Wildfire here, we're good. And we don't. We could probably Kano again, and if that's a Wildfire, we're still in business, I'd imagine. So let's do that. And hit the Wildfire, of course. I have video. That sucks. Yeah, so that's probably DG if they have anything. Yeah, we can just block 6 here, and then if they attack with anything, I lose. Yeah, good game. Probably weren't close. Oh! Come on. Yeah, I mean, we can't play around Angelic right there, so we lose anyway.